1440, as well as Oilers Nation YouTube and Facebook, Twitter. You can get us on the Sports 1440 Instagram page as well. Connor Halley sitting in for Jason Gregor, who is vacationing for the next few weeks. Also got Declan Kruger and Donovan Paulson along for the ride. The show, as always, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. Make sure to use promo code SUMMER. You can get a $50 casino play with minimum $5 deposit. And make sure to use your game sense. Stay within your limits. 1-833-401-1440. That is the text line, the eWell inbox, where the real power play is to shop at ewell.ca. For all your electrical needs, 24/7, ewell.ca is your partner in power. Lots to get to on this show today. We've got a loaded lineup and lots to discuss. Zach Lang of Oilers Nation will be by at 2:20 to talk about the Evander Kane situation. We also might talk to him about the Toronto Blue Jays and maybe even the Chicago Bears, as he is a big Bears fan. Cam Tate, 2-minute warning every Monday, Friday here on Sports 1440. We'll get to that around 2:40, give or take. We've got Wanye Gretz coming in for an extra hour today. Typically, you'd see him from 4 to 6, but the people have spoken. They want more Wanye, so we'll have Wanye coming in at 3 o'clock. We'll have Justin Rankin, Elks running back. He's got a very cool story. He spent a couple years playing in the IFL. That's the Indoor Football League. Won a championship. If my math is right, he scored 49 touchdowns last year, and now playing with the green and gold, and he's been absolutely massive coming in as a backup when Javon Leake goes out. We'll see what's going on in the green and gold room. How are they feeling after the last couple of weeks? Of course, a big win last night as they dropped in a pretty impressive performance, the BC Lions. Now, the BC Lions were without Vernon Adams. Well, we have to concede that, but a 33-16 win. When the Elks lose Trey Ford, what was the feeling like on the sideline when McLeod Bethel-Thompson comes in? Obviously, a guy who's proven, handled his business through an interception, but did reply with a touchdown. The Elks now sit 2-7 on the season as they now turn their attention to the Hamilton Tiger Cats in the Steel City. That'll go next Saturday. Also, we'll talk some NFL. We continue our training camp preview. We'll hear from Theo Dorsey of ESPN West Palm, the Miami Dolphins. An intriguing bunch for sure. Jalen Phillips taken off the PUP list. He's a big-time player on that defense paired with Bradley Chubb, but it's the Dolphins. We got to talk about the offense. Tua Tagovailoa getting paid. You got Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and a whole big cast of others. So we'll see what's happening down in Miami. That AFC East division is going to be phenomenal. Sans Patriots. The Patriots, you had your run, but I think for the time being, we're going to be looking at the Bills, the Dolphins, and the New York Jets. If those teams can stay healthy, Kevin Woodley will be by around 4 o'clock. He's actually out in Toronto doing some things, so we'll have him on a little bit earlier on in the show. We'll have Spec, 5 questions, and a whole lot more. The text line is 1-833-401-1440. Let us know. Looking at the YouTube chat here, Triple Crown, Gonzo, Kevin, Filthy, Jody, thank you guys for tuning in today. Hit that like button, right? We're going to try to boost those like numbers out there on the YouTube. And if you're watching on any other platform, we appreciate it. Make sure you do so. We've got Declan Kruger alongside with me. Declan, you had a couple days off. You went houseboating. I'm telling you, I'm living my life through you because I absolutely love houseboating. The only downside for me personally was when you get off the boat, you're kind of a little wobbly. How you feeling today?
Connor, it's taking me out today. Last time we went 2 years ago and I was fine. Today, all day I felt like I'm still on the boat, dizzy, swaying side to side. I feel like waves are under my feet. Can't quite get my bearings about me. So it hasn't been my best day ever. I'll tell you that for free. But yeah, we're fighting through it. Spirits are high, like I said on the lowdown. Happy to be here, and hopefully we can, right the ship a little bit, to use a nautical reference.
Are you, matey? As long as you don't fall off your chair, you're doing pretty good in my books.
Head is straight forward, getting my eyes locked on one target, trying not to move, as little changing between monitors as I have to. Not a great one.
And you guys did go to the party beach?
We did. Nielsen Beach.
Did you feel out of place? When we went there the last time, I thought maybe we're a little too old for this one, but it's a fun time. No,
I would say we were actually, my friend group was, I would say, one of the younger contingencies there for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. It was a lot of 30 pluses. We were the young guns on the island.
Oh, I love it. Always a good time houseboating out there, that part of our country. Absolutely beautiful. Glad to hear you had a good time.
Do you want to come next time?
Yeah, I'll see if I can sneak away.
All right, that's awesome.
It's the drive back, actually. That's the worst part.
Buddy, come on, stop it. Last drive back 2 years ago, I don't even remember the drive back. This time we were obviously all pretty banged up, a lot of napping, but a lot of stops as well, just to kind of get some fresh air, So 7.5 hour drive turned into about 9 hours.
You got to get those stops. Montana to Rice has got to love it. Declan is battling. This man needs a raise. Absolute class act. Yeah, well, that's part of it. What does it say? If you want to party with the boys, you got to wake up and work with the men. Declan knows this. He's ready to get back to business. I feel like he missed it, if anything.
I don't know what the hell that saying means, but I like what he said about the raise. Sounds good to me.
We'll talk to accounting and human resources later on. Now, let's talk a little bit about those Edmonton Elks last night with the win down at Commonwealth. If you are down there, congratulations. You probably have a nice little bit of a tan because the weather was absolutely fantastic. And the product on the field was good too. Trey Ford started off looking very good. I mean, this guy, I want to refer to my notes just a little bit here because there was a couple plays to get things going. 2nd and 9, he found Curly Gittins. He can buy time, gives his receivers the time to find a hole in the opposing defense, and then he's making the throws. There was the play to Tevin Coleman downfield. It was another 2nd and 9. He put TJ Lee, who's a fine athlete, on skates. Just a little bit of a hesitation. He's able to make those plays. And now I think all our attention has to be on the concern for the well-being of Trey Ford. I don't like the direction football's going in some instances. Roughing the passer in the NFL is absolutely ridiculous. But Trey Ford, if you were playing the NFL and you were in the pocket, that was roughing the passer. That was the full body weight put down on Trey Ford. Football looks like goes into the ribs. Not a doctor, not going to pretend to be one. I'll take the Jim Harbaugh route, well, as he says for the LA Chargers. Like, I'm not going to talk about it because I don't know what it means. I'm not educated enough to give an insight. But it looked like ribs. We'll see how it goes. We'll see how it looks at practice this week. But 6 for 6 for 96 yards. He was doing some great things. Also ran the ball, averaging 5.5 yards per carry. The thing I really like about Trey Ford, if the defense makes one mistake, he's going to expose it. If he rolls out and someone who's supposed to be in coverage has like a little bit of a breakdown, decides to rush, he's going to keep his eyes downfield and he's going to find a player and make that play. So Trey Ford was doing outstanding things. After the injury, though, McLeod Bethel-Thompson, and this is why you sign MBT, in my humble opinion. When your starter goes down, you need a vet who can come in and make some plays for you, and he certainly did so. Now, the interception wasn't ideal. Threw it up into the end zone, giving his guys a chance to make a play. I think he had Geno Smith and Myall there, but it didn't work out. Credit to the BC Lions defensive back, had the interception. After that, though, I thought he was pretty effective. And credit to the Edmonton Elks defense as well. It wasn't a good start. First drive of the game, the BC Lions looked great. They marched right to downfield, scored the touchdown. Something I guess Trey Ford's becoming a little bit accustomed to, as against the Riders, it was a kickoff touchdown. So he's entering the field both these games down 7-0, but doesn't really blink an eye. The Elks score 18 points in the second quarter and would go on to win the game 33-16. The Edmonton Elks now sitting 2-7 on the season. Like I said, we're going to talk to Justin Rankin. Javon Leake has been so good. Rankin might not be getting the credit that he deserves, but yesterday he had 7 carries, 77 yards, had the reception for the touchdown. I want to ask him what happened on that play. I think he was blocking, kind of getting out there as a receiver. Obviously, McLeod Bethel-Thompson finds him, breaks a couple tackles. He's got a nose for the end zone. Like I said, playing in the IFL, 45 touchdowns. Bruce asking about an update on Trey Ford's injury. Unfortunately, right now, we have none. We don't know exactly what it is. I mean, I can try to ask Justin Rankin later on in the show, but I've got a pretty good feeling he won't tell me. I would assume we'll see what's coming on. Gregor was at the game, had been kind of tweeting that Trey Ford, no helmet, but was throwing. So to me, that rules out the shoulder. I think it's something in the rib area, and it can become a matter of what can you play through. Justin Herbert, I'm sorry to drop Chargers references, but that's something I'm going to do in the next 2 weeks. He had some issues with the cartilage in his rib cage, and he was able to play. It's going to hurt. You can try to numb it as much as possible. It's going to hurt, but he did play through it. We'll see if that's going to be the case with Trey Ford. Trey Ford obviously is going to run the ball a little bit more. If it is the cartilage and the ribs, I think we'll see him slide a little bit more, and maybe there is some hesitation to run, but we shall see. As the week progresses and we hear more reports out of practice, we'll be able to tell you a little bit more. Other big news today kind of coming out and surfacing on the Oilers Twitter and social media. Evander Kane, some reports saying that it looks like he might be heading towards surgery. Maybe at the start of the year could put him on the LTIR. Jason Gregor has been talking about this for a long time, that was probably last resort. And wanted to make sure that he tried to rehab it and get back for the start of the season, but LTIR was a very realistic possibility, and it's starting to look that way. We'll see. The Edmonton Oilers, by my calculations, and that's just looking at Puckpedia, over $300,000, the cap. So they have to find ways to be a little bit lower. It would be convenient. And I know a lot of Oilers fans were critical in the past about what the Golden Knights have done and taking advantage of that system. But this might be a way for the Edmonton Oilers in the meantime to make it work. I have no issue if that's what they do. I really have no issue with the Vegas Golden Knights doing it. It's the NHL's problem for letting teams do this, giving them that ability to do so. It's a risky thing you can do, like we saw going back to last year. The way it worked out for the Vegas Golden Knights obviously didn't go on that run, but it did allow them to make some big acquisitions at the trade deadline. So, hey, if the Oilers use this to their advantage, I have no issue with it. If Evander Kane comes back a little bit earlier and they have to find a way to create some cap space, obviously we know that they will do that. We'll also talk some NFL. Declan, I know you were away for a little while, but we saw over this past weekend the new kickoffs in the NFL where you have to drop it in there on a weekend. Greatest kick returners of all time go into the Hall of Fame. Devin Hester seemed appropriate that we got a chance to see some new kickoffs, and I really do like the rule. I like it as a message from the NFL that if there's something in the game that we get away from that is crucial to the success of the game, we got to find a way to make it relevant again. And I'm thinking with this new style where it's really going to force teams to have to return kicks and defenses to try a way to stop it, we're going to start to see some new names. Devin Hester is the big one, Hall of Fame, but you go back to Joshua Cribbs. Dante Hall was another very good kick returner in the 2000s. We're going to see these guys pop up. Guys who might not be, full-time offensive or defensive players, but return guys who can make some plays. And Declan, I mean, I don't know who comes to mind for you when we're talking return guys, but I think this is going to be a really cool opportunity to start to see some new players make plays. And I don't know if it's going to translate to fantasy. Maybe if you get one of those guys who's, a pretty good receiver, you throw him out there on fantasy because the kick return yards could help you, or the touchdowns if they happen. But it looks like it's going to be a pretty cool change to the game.
Oh, yeah. First of all, that is the best thing ever. When you draft kind of a throwaway receiver, pick one up on the waiver wire, and all of a sudden they take a kickback for the touchdown. You get the point. No better feeling in the world than that. Yeah, for me, I didn't love it. I didn't love the rule change right off the hop. But I think as things go on and as we become a little more accustomed to it, it'll just become commonplace, and there'll come a point like, oh, why did I even care this was changed? You know what I mean? So, I'm not too high on it right off the bat, as I never really am with rule changes like this. Like if you're making a slight rule change to hand positioning or foot position, something like that, I can live with it. This one just seems to be such a because it is a new element of the game. I don't love that initially, but as time goes by, it just becomes, it is what it is. And because of that, I'll probably grow to like it and accept it.
Your Candy says, "Come on, Connor. There's nothing more exciting than a touchback." Oh my goodness, yawn. I know there's sarcasm there. Is the emoji that was put in there. Krager says the GMs vote to keep the rule as well, so flip and take advantage while the Oilers can. Yeah, 100%. I mean, if you can put a guy on the LTIR and the cap space is available, use it to your advantage. Team D says it's completely different than the Knights. Kane gutted it out last year and nearly missed all the finals. Tried to rehab and will have a legit surgery, not a mystery injury that happens 4 days before the trade deadline that miraculously heals 2 months sooner than it should, just in time for the playoffs year after year. Well, they were allowed to do it, and there was some sort of injury, right? And the Golden Knights at that point were kind of struggling, and they didn't play very good hockey down the stretch. You have to ask yourself, is it worth it, to bring in a player and at the same time, you're going to lose your captain down the stretch? I don't know. Maybe this was their grand plan. I mean, I think there's still some risks to it. I don't think it's foolproof. They lost. They didn't win the cup, so it's not a perfect plan. But I'm just saying, you can use it to your benefit. The Edmonton Oilers right now over the cap. If you can have Evander Kane's salary off the cap for a little while during the season, buys you some time. It's a benefit, and you should take advantage of it. But like you're saying, Team Dean, I get it. I don't think we're going to have people from other fan bases up in arms because they're doing this. It's not quite the same. And Montana DeRice says Dante Hall was so sick. Yeah, he was good. Joshua Cribbs. I remember there was a time in Cleveland Browns history where the fans wanted to do a bit of a message to the ownership where they didn't want to be in their seats for the kickoff on Monday Night Football. It was like, let's make it look really bad on the Monday Night kickoff. fan response was, well, that could be our only touchdown of the game because Joshua Cribbs could return a touchdown. So yeah, he was really good. The human joystick was fantastic. And hopefully throughout the entirety of this season, we'll get a chance to see a few more kick returns in the NFL. Big show today. Like we said, Connor Halley sitting in for the vacationing Jason Gregor. We'll be doing this for the next couple of weeks here. I got Declan Kruger and Donovan Paulson along with me for the ride. Zach Lang of Oilers Nation coming up in a couple minutes here. Also, Cam Tate and his 2-minute warning. Wanye Gretz will be by from 3 till 6. You know, when Wanye comes in, we get to Wanye's world, and that means someone's winning some free oodle noodle. So we'll do that in the middle of the show as well. Elks running back Justin Rankin will be by at about 3:25. Theo Dorsey of ESPN will join us to talk some Miami Dolphins. We've got Kevin Woodley in there and Mark Spector coming up later on as well. Get those texts in 1-833-401-1440. If you are watching on Facebook or Twitter, get the comments in as on YouTube, and make sure you hit that like button. Coming up next, it is Zach Lang. You're watching and listening to the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
The summer road lays ahead. Your potential destinations are endless. Volvo Cars Edmonton gives you choice to match. Right now, lease a 2024 Volvo XC90 from 0% for qualifying loyal customers. Or save $7,000 on all new 2024 XC60 recharge plug-in hybrid models. All demo vehicles come with a free 10-year, 1 million kilometer warranty. No matter what you decide this summer will become, your first choice is Volvo Cars Edmonton. VolvoCarsEdmonton.com, 1205 101 Street Southwest.
Gather around the radio, kiddies, for the best time of day. It's Oodle Noodle time. Listen in this week as your noodle hero battles the barbarous Bobby Burger. Now sing along. You know the word. Oodle Noodle time. Oodle Noodle time. You know what time it is now. Get up and give me your best Oodle Noodle dance. Your best time of day is Oodle Noodle time.
Need a new AC, furnace, duct cleaning, or water treatment system? Save up to $2,500 on a complete system and get a 12-year parts and labor warranty with Modern Air and Water. Your Air Ease Pro dealer at modernairwater.com.
You adore your Audi, value your Volkswagen, baby your Beamer. But some of that love fades when repairs take several days and tons of cash for the dealership to do their magic. Let Cochran's Automotive rekindle the flame. They'll professionally repair your import, usually in one day. Audi, BMW, Mercedes, Volkswagen, Honda, and Toyota. Cochran's Automotive will return her to mint condition. Open at 7 a.m. Let Cochran's Automotive repair your automotive air conditioning before things heat up. Cochran's Automotive. 780-452-5001.
My utility bills are going through the roof. How can I take advantage of the sun and put my lazy roof to work?
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Energy team reporting. When you're ready to make your home or business more efficient, Action Electrical has the power to install solar panel systems and EV chargers.
Facing an electrical menace? Call on the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta with supercharged skills and strong family values. ActionElectrical.net.
So you've decided you want to start hiking. Nobody would say, I'll just wear my kids' flip-flops until I have more experience. The first thing you do is buy the right shoe size and style to fit you. Same with golf. You can't just buy clubs off the rack. They won't be the right size or style for you. Only Fitted Golf works with you to identify your swing style and then matches your clubs exactly to that swing. Check out our Instagram and YouTube channel to see the success others have with clubs fit to their swing. Fitted Golf, where we continue to prove it's your clubs.
Get a great night's sleep during the final weekend of the Bricks Summer Sleep Event. Take up to 50% off mattresses, up to $1,200 off sleeper sectionals, and buy more, save more, up to 25% off bedroom and dining furniture. Plus, shop amazing deals in other departments, like up to 20% off outdoor furniture and up to 25% off home entertainment furniture and fireplaces. You won't want to sleep through these fantastic prices. Some exclusions apply. See in store for details. The Bricks, saving you more.
Does your bank do local? We do. When you bank with Vision Credit Union, you're banking with a rural Albertan cooperative that cares about the community where you live. There's no question. We actively support our rural communities at the local level through charitable donations, volunteerism, local team and event sponsorships, and by returning millions in profit shares to our members every year. Does your bank do that? We do local. Bank with Vision Credit Union. VisionCU.ca
with you here live at the Stingray Studios. The show brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. Have some fun tonight, Major League Baseball. Make sure to use your game sense. As always, the text line is 1-833-401-1440. Filthy from Calgary says, Con, we should predict each division winner, then Super Bowl. I'll run through yours, Filthy. Finns, Ravens, Texans, Chiefs, Eagles, Pack, Falcons, Niners, Ravens out of the AFC, Niners from the NFC, and the Niners get revenge and get it all done. A rematch of the Harbaugh Bowl, or the Har Bowl, as others might have known it. I'd be interested in that one. Maybe Declan Kruger and I, in the next segment, will run through our divisional picks. I made some on Saturday, on the Saturday Sports Setup with Ryan Reed, and a few of the same, a few differences. I picked the Jets. They're the Jets. If Aaron Rodgers can stay healthy, man, that defense is solid. Mike Williams, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall. They got some good players there. Wish they would have drafted Brock Bowers at tight end, because I think that would have been a better pick in the immediate future for a team that's trying to win now. But let's maybe in the next segment we'll dive into that one. Right now, though, we are going to get to the oil report brought to you by Volvo Cars Edmonton. The event is on now. Lease a new Volvo 2024 XC90 for 0% at Canada's #1 Volvo dealership, VolvoCarsEdmonton.com. We bring in Zach Lang from Oilers Nation, also with DFO, covers the Jays. Zach, good afternoon. How are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing well. It's quite a news day in Edmonton in the middle of August, that's for sure.
Right? I mean, we got trade forward questions, the Riverhawks in action, Game 3, do or die. And then randomly, we start getting reports from Bob Stauffer about Evander Kane and starting the season on the LTR. We saw some conflicting reports elsewhere. I guess for those who maybe are just turning on the dial, hearing this for the first time, can you give us a little timeline of today's events regarding Evander Kane, who we have heard there's some injury news there?
Yeah, so according to Bob Stauffer, he was reporting that Evander Kane is likely going to need surgery and looks like he's going to start on the long-term injured reserve. This is something that kind of goes back to, some point last season when Kane had suffered this injury. It wasn't exactly know when he was, he dealt with a sports hernia or hip injury, whatever it may be. But you could kind of see in the player that, his game kind of fell off a little bit in the second half of last season. Obviously the lack of production was something that was there, but he didn't really look like himself either. He didn't seem to be engaged in games in the ways that he has in previous years. And then, of course, before the start of the playoffs, he comes out and publicly states to reporters in the other's room that he's been dealing with a sports hernia injury. And I think it's something that caught a lot of people by surprise, especially because, you don't hear of players declaring themselves injured before the start of the playoffs. It was kind of a really weird situation. He played in the majority of the playoffs, all of the LA series, all of the Vancouver series. And then Game 6 against Dallas, the Oilers were able to close that one out. But Kane only played 4 minutes. He laid a hit on Stars defenseman Alex Petrovic and didn't quite look right afterwards. And, he was in for games 1 and 2 against Florida, but fell out of the lineup for the final 4 or 5 games of that series. I'm not surprised to see that, he's likely going to need surgery. I think the Oilers must have known that this was the likely plan all along, given what they did this offseason, right? They really didn't leave themselves a whole lot of wiggle room in terms of salary cap space, signing Jeff Skinner, Victor Arvidsson, and the plethora of other people that, either came back to Edmonton or are arriving for the first time here. So pretty interesting news to say the least, and it's going to have some complications down the road for sure for this team.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously we'd love to see Evander Kane in the lineup when he is out there, and at full health, of course. The guy's effective, almost a perennial 20-goal scorer, a guy you'd love to have out there. But with the injury, it's kind of something that at this point, the Edmonton Oilers would have to take advantage of and kind of use that LTIR space.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you really look at things from a salary cap perspective, according to Puckpedia, the Oilers are about $354,000 in spare change over the salary cap right now. They still got Philip Broberg and Dylan Holloway that they need to sign to new contracts. So when you really look at the way the Oilers were going to be able to move salary out, it was really one of two options. It was either, Evander Kane going on the LTIR, Evander Kane being traded, or Cody Ceci being traded, just from a salary cap perspective. If Holloway and Broberg both signed for around $1 million, give or take, those were really the two guys who you could see realistically moving off this roster so they could be cap compliant by the regular season. Now, Evander Kane, $5.125 billion contract, that goes on the LTIR, and that frees up all that cap space for the Oilers. Now, of course, it's not going to allow the team to accumulate any cap space throughout the season, which is a very complicated process that I'm not exactly the smartest about, but I know that it's a thing that happens, so we can kind of roll with that. But at some point, too, whenever Evander Kane's healthy, he has to come off the LTIR. So, is he going to be able to return at some point this season? Is he not going to play at all throughout the entirety of the season, be activated before the playoffs? Could the Oilers Kucherov him? And then, of course, there's always the possibility of a trade, because the really interesting thing with Evander Kane is that he's got a no movement clause right now, but it opens up to a 16-team approved trade list on March 1st of next year, which will be right before the trade deadline. So it's going to be really interesting to see the way the Oilers kind of get through this stretch of the season.
Zach Lang of Oilers Nation joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Connor Halley sitting in for the vacationing Jason, and he'll be back in a couple of weeks for those wondering. Zach, you mentioned Broberg and Holloway there. You mentioned kind of the $1 million mark. Is that where your expectations are for their contracts next season?
Yeah, I think so. I think, for both of these guys, you're probably looking at a 1 year, maybe 2 year deal, $1 to $1.5 million for each guy. They're both restricted free agents. They both still have a lot to prove at the NHL level. And, for a guy like Broberg, he's looking like he's going to be a regular in the lineup next season. And then on the other hand, Dylan Holloway, same sort of a thing. But with Holloway, he's going to be competing for space out there. The Oilers brought in Jeff Skinner and Arvidsson. Both are middle six wingers. And that's exactly where Holloway kind of found himself last year when he made it up, or back up to the NHL rather, in the playoffs. So he's a guy who's going to have to really battle for some space and really have a really strong training camp to kind of cement himself a spot on this roster.
We had a couple of texts coming in here earlier, Zach. Just curious about, if Evander Kane isn't good to go, what do you think the lines are going to look like opening night? I would assume McDavid, Draisaitl, Hyman locked in there. You're going to have Draisaitl in line too, and Skinner maybe in there at some point. What would your ideal forward lines look like game one of the season?
Yeah, great question. I think the top line stays the same from what it was last year. Nugent Hopkins, McDavid, Hyman. There's no reason to change that. I mean, they were inarguably the best line in the NHL last season in my eyes. Just a tremendous group of players that really play well together and really play at their best when they're together. And then that's, where things really get interesting. I think up the middle, you're going to go Leon Draisaitl on the second line, Adam Henrique on the third line, Derek Ryan on the fourth line. Jeff Skinner, Victor Arvidsson, both guys that can play on that second line. But I almost wonder if the Oilers would want to kind of spread the wealth around a little bit and have, 3 scoring lines essentially, where, maybe Skinner stays on the second line with Draisaitl, Dylan Holloway plays up on that right wing, and then you have Victor Arvidsson, Adam Henrique on the third line. And from there, the Oilers kind of have a lot of options, because it kind of feels, at least to me, that they have a real big group of forwards who are kind of going to be, competing for those bottom 6 spots. There's question marks about guys like Corey Perry, I think, who, you kind of look at and you say, well, yeah, he was effective at points last year, but, in the playoffs, it really looked like his foot speed kind of fell off a cliff, and he wasn't overly effective. So I think he's a guy who could find himself out of the lineup more often than in.
Yeah. And I mean, coming back on a team that just knowing that would be his role, I think that kind of says something that, he's in win now mode. This is the team to do it with. And we'll see how many games he does get into next season. Zach Lang of Oilers Nation joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show. 1-833-401-1440. That is the text line. Zach, I got to ask you, I mean, it's the first day without the Olympics. And here in the Sports 1440 studio, I've grown quite accustomed to watching recaps of some events. Right now we have poker on. Do you have a bit of a void in your life right now without those Olympic Games?
You know what? Admittedly, I didn't really watch as much of the Olympics as I was kind of really hoping to. The one event that I really tuned in for was the men's Olympic weightlifting over the weekend. I think it was on Saturday, the 102 plus kilogram division. I used to do Olympic weightlifting in another life, so I'm always fascinated to kind of catch up on that and see what's going on. But it was a really great Olympics, it felt like, especially from, a social media perspective and the ability to find events too. I really like the way that, you could kind of jump on a different app now and find the exact event you're looking for. So I thought that was a really nice touch this year.
And I have to ask you before we let you go here, the Chicago Bears underway, the offense, Caleb Williams, man, the plays he makes on the run, reminiscent of a former divisional rival of yours and Aaron Rodgers and the way he could throw the ball. The weapons are there. What are you thinking for the Chicago Bears this upcoming season? Because, win or lose, it looks like they're going to be a lot of fun to watch.
They are going to be a lot of fun to watch. I'm very excited from what we saw from Caleb Williams in that first group of the offense against the Buffalo Bills on Saturday. He was, I posted a tweet, I watched one quarter of Caleb Williams football for the Chicago Bears, and I can already say he's probably the best quarterback this team's ever had. I get it. The bar is pretty low in terms of the guys that are there or that have been in Chicago in the past. But yeah, he is looking as advertised right now, and it's hard to not get really excited about it. So it's going to be a great season, I think, in Chicago. I think this is a team that might catch some people by surprise. In the back half of last season, they were like a top 5 defense in the NFL, and they've returned a lot of those guys back this season as well. So I think from a defensive perspective, they're going to be a really good team. And then offensively, I mean, the juice just seems to be flowing in Chicago right now. TJ Moore, he signed a big long-term extension with the team. Keenan Allen, I'm interested to see what he can do this year, how productive he's going to be. Rome Odunze, he's a guy who's going to be just continuing to push for minutes with that first-team offense as well. So, yeah, I'm very, very, very excited right now as a Chicago Bears fan.
There will be some times on third down where Keenan Allen will make catches totally uncontested, and you'll think, oh, they must have forgot to cover him. And then they'll show the replay, and he'll just beat someone so bad in his route. There's no one within like 3 or 4 feet of him. So I'm jealous that you get to watch Keenan Allen because he's a lot of fun to watch as a player. Final question for you. I lied. I got one more because I know you're working with the Jays Nation as well right now. Is this where you expected the Jays to be at this point in the season when we got going earlier on this year?
Oh, man, great question. Absolutely not. I think the expectation for this team was to be competing in the AL East again. I mean, they didn't have the greatest of off seasons, but they returned to, the majority of the pitching staff from last year, which was already a real plus for them. But the offense just could not get anything going early on this season. You couple that with Kevin Gausman missing a good chunk of spring training. That really put him behind the 8 ball this season. Chris Bassett, I don't know what is going on with him, but I saw after he got blown up by the Athletics yesterday, he was saying he wasn't anticipating the roof to be open in the Rogers Center yesterday, and it affected his pitches, which I think is just a horrendous excuse for a terrible pitching performance. You look at the bullpen too, Eric Swanson, there was the really unfortunate accident where, his kid got hit by a car in spring training down in Florida, and he missed a big chunk of spring training too, and he just didn't look like himself. And then obviously offensively, I mean, Vladdy was quiet to start the year. George Springer took until, a few weeks ago, a month ago, to really kind of find his form. Bo Bichette, he's been injured on and off all season and really struggling at the plate. It just feels like everything that could have went wrong for this team this year did go wrong. But in the same breath, you take a look at what they did at the trade deadline. The Yusei Kikuchi trade was an absolute home run, pun intended. And they made some other really sharp moves to kind of clear out some salary, pick up some prospects, and really try and set themselves up to take a run next year. So I think they positioned themselves well given what's happened this season. And I think, the nice thing is you get to watch a lot of the youth right now in Toronto. And they've got some kids that are, good performers right now, and they're going to need for the next couple of years to continue to step up.
Very well said. Zach, thanks so much for doing this today. Appreciate it. And we'll have you back on soon.
Hey, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
There you go. That is Zach Lang of Oilers Nation. Also does some work with Daily Faceoff Fantasy and the Jays Nation. You can give him a follow on X at ZJ Lang. Hey, Norman at Combine. I believe it's your birthday. Happy birthday. Watching in the YouTube chat right now. Also, Lars, good to see you back in there. And Triple Crown goes by Frank. Hello, Frank. Good to have you in the chat room there. Make sure you guys give that video a like. We need as many likes as Norm in a Combine has been on this planet in terms of years. So, Norm, if you want to let us know your years, and we'll try to get that number in terms of likes on the YouTube video. Montana to Rice says the Bears wide receiver history and QB history is so bad. It is. I mean, you think of the best quarterbacks in Bears history, like Jay Cutler, Rex Grossman got them to the dance. You had, in terms of receivers, Brandon Marshall was there for a few years. He was pretty good. an aging Musim Muhammad. It's wild they couldn't make Devin Hester into more of a offensive threat in some sort of fashion. Like, start him in the backfield, just get the ball in his hands. But yeah, the Chicago Bears, I don't think that's a stretch to say that Caleb Williams could be the best quarterback in Chicago Bears history. And hey, maybe DJ Moore, Rome Odunze, Keenan Allen, they'll battle it out for the top receiver. But yeah, you look at the championship team. Defense certainly was the strong point in that one. Haji says, guys, I love the deals made so far this season. We're talking Oilers. But without Kane in the lineup, are the Oilers void of any gamesmanship or edge? I've been waiting for some sandpaper on the fourth line. And as of now, the team has no money and no one turbine teams that Connor is off limits. We saw it happen last year when Connor McDavid was injured. If the Oilers have any hope of multiple playoff series with home ice, there can't be any significant loss of games by Leon or Connor. Haji, yeah. I mean, I think Kane obviously deters that. It's tough to get a shot on Connor McDavid. Like, I mean, I feel like he's probably been targeted to a certain extent his whole life, and he's been able to avoid it for the most part. But yeah, I mean, it certainly is nice to have. I will say, Corey Perry, I think, can be a bit of a deterrent when he's out there. You'd hope that Darnell Nurse can. He's a guy that can play with some nastiness in his game. Vinny Desharnais is gone, so you lose that. But for sure, I totally agree with you. For this team to have success, McDavid and Draisaitl will have to be out there. So their health is certainly crucial. Ear Candy says, you've offended Jim McMahon when talking about the Chicago Bears. Yeah, he was okay, right? A little bit before my time. Won a ring and had great style, great swag. So I don't want to offend Jim McMahon. Bob asking about the YouTube channel. Looks like Declan sent you the link, Bob, so you can watch on YouTube. If anyone does want to watch on YouTube, let us know. You can always just search Oilers Nation and you'll see whatever pops up. There will be a little live icon. You just click that. Make sure you subscribe as well. MTR says they haven't had a 4,000 passing season. I mean, I'm going to say that's going to come to an end in the next couple of years here. I think with the extended game, you've got 17 games now. The receivers, even got DeAndre Swift in the backfield for the Chicago Bears, which is going to be a massive, massive addition. I think they'll be a good team. We did have that text come in earlier asking about our division picks. So maybe we'll do that when we get back on the Jason Gregor Show. It's Connor Halley, Declan Kruger, Donovan Paulson with you here live on Sports 1440. We're also on YouTube with Oilers Nation and the Oilers Nation Facebook page. If you're watching on Twitter, Oilers Nation, and then on Instagram, we're on Sports 1440's account. So follow us across and all those platforms, and you can tune in every day here on the Jason Gregor Show. Still to come, Wanye Gretz will be by to talk a little bit more about the Edmonton Oilers. He's going to be in the co-host chair from 3 till 6. We'll also talk to Justin Rankin, Edmonton Elks running back, the Elks winners of 2 straight. We got Theo Dorsey from ESPN Miami. We'll talk some Miami Dolphins, Woodley, and Spec. All that and more. It's the Jason Gregor Show, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
There's still time to book your tournament at the Ranch Golf and Country Club.
As one of Alberta's top tourney courses, the Ranch makes hosting fun and easy for any group or business. No matter how unique or unusual, they'll accommodate your vision for an event no one will soon forget.
Start planning your tournament today at their beautifully landscaped course on the outskirts of West Edmonton. On-site event coordinators are here to help, but hurry, availability is limited and booking fast.
Visit theranchgolf.com.
Hey, it's Brad McCory here from St. Albert Dodge. I'm here to say you do not want to miss our final clear out of classic Ram 1500 trucks. It really is your last chance to drive a brand new Ram truck off the lot with 25% off. When these are gone, they're gone. Or how about a Jeep Wrangler with up to $7,500 in savings and 0% financing on every model? Come see how we earn our industry-leading 4.6 Google review rating. You're going to love how easy it is to do business at St. Albert Dodge.
Introducing the Female Super League. Female hockey is on the rise with more women playing the game than ever. Join us as we pave the way for the future of women's hockey. The FSL is more than a game. It's a movement and an experience for the motivated female athlete. Teams will compete in a showcase-style format featuring consistent interprovincial competition. Come be part of the journey as the 2024-25 season unveils a 12U division, as well as the launch of a groundbreaking progressive body-checking 14U division. For more information, visit femalesuperleague.com.
Bacon or sausage and egg McMuffin? It's a delicious dilemma. But what if you didn't have to choose? The Mighty McMuffin is back with bacon and sausage. Mighty McMuffin, mighty impressive. For a limited time at participating McDonald's in Canada.
Rule number 116. In Waterton, walk with a lean. The wind will always prop you up. Summer in Alberta has its own set of rules. And if you're looking to add a little extra fun, Play Alberta has it all. Use promo code SUMMER to snag a $50 casino bonus for casino, instants, and live dealer with your next deposit. Get ready for promotions throughout the summer to help you make the most of those sunny Alberta days. Because we all know they don't last long enough. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
You see us working on the Yellowhead. You see us working on the LRT West project over on 104th Avenue. But what are we doing? We are GS Construction, and we're moving, upgrading, and repairing all of that underground infrastructure so that other work can go on. Things like maintaining water, wastewater, and stormwater draining services. Things you may take for granted, but definitely need. For 50 years, GS Construction has been laying the groundwork for your community. Find out more by going to gsconstruction.ca.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance, when you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Diablo Boots has been open for business for 60 years, selling Canadian-made quality boots. Diablo has Canada West work, biker, and cowboy boots with fixable soles and heels. So why buy boots like Area, Justin, or Red Wing that are made in China? Get your money's worth with Diablo's Canada West tough, comfortable work boots. So save on boots by Save On Foods, 3340 Gateway Boulevard on the east side of Save On Foods. And does Diablo sell the best boots in town? You betcha.
Get a key for the pup. Shot it better seen double C's up. Got it looking like a leadership mug.
We are working on getting the 2-minute one with Tate. For this one, it'll just sound like difficulties in file seconds. So once we get the new episode, we will run that here on the show. That's on 1-334-01-1440 from the live email for you on World Nation, YouTube, and Facebook. I'm back on YouTube. Thank you, Donovan. We did a text that came in here asking about the divisions and who we are going to win in the NFL. And I think that's a pretty good question. And I think in a few divisions, there is some room for debate. The AFC East is one where I would say we could probably argue that one. So we'll see where Declan and I come out on this one. Declan Kruger, of course, you can hear him on the Lowdown with Flow Tide Monday through Friday, and our usual digital producer sliding into my chair. So, Declan, let's just start off with the AFC East. You got the Dolphins, Patriots, Jets, Bills. Hypothetically, if you had to make a pick, who would be your pick to win that division?
I'm going to take...
Now, you are a Bills fan.
I'm a Bills fan. I'm going to take the Miami Dolphins to win the division at 11-6. Buffalo's second in the division at 10-7.
I mean, I that could be a division where I do think it would be possible to see 3 playoff teams. Like, I think you could see 2 wildcard teams come out of that division. I went with the Jets as my pick. I know Jets have
to win the division.
Yeah, I that defense, like, what was it, top 5, and they had to play so much ball because you couldn't trust the Jets offense to do anything. If Aaron Rodgers, and I think it's very, heavy on his shoulders to find a way to make it work. But Breece Hall, if healthy, I think he's one of the best running backs in the league. Mike Williams, got to stay healthy. This is becoming a trend. It is going to rely heavily on health, but I'm going to go outside the box and take the Jets. AFC North, that's going to be another competitive division. The Ravens, the Bengals, the Steelers, and the Cleveland Browns, who were a playoff team last year without Deshaun Watson. This year, they bring in a little depth with Jameis Winston. I'll go first with this one. I'm going to take the Baltimore Ravens again. I think the running attack, as good as it was last year, it's even more of a threat with Derrick Henry. I know he's aging, but I still think he's got some good football left. I think Zay Jones is going to take another step as a receiver, Rashad Bateman, and Lamar Jackson, from what they say, is in a little bit better shape. So I'm going to take the Ravens, although this division is going to be competitive. I could see it going a bunch of different ways.
I'm also going to take the Ravens. I'll take the Ravens at 13-4 to win this division.
I like that you're going with the records too.
Yeah.
I'm not making that step. That's too far for me. The AFC South has the Jags, Titans, Texans, and the Colts. I don't know if the level's as high, but the competitiveness could be there. Declan, I'll let you take this one first. Jags, Titans, Texans, or Colts?
I am going to take the Jacksonville Jaguars to win it at a somewhat underwhelming 10-7. And I think in those 7 losses, they have some big bloats against good teams where you look and say, that might not actually be that good of a team.
I don't know what Trevor Lawrence is. I had high expectations for him. He's been good. He's had some really great moments, but there's been some not so good. I'll take the Texans. I don't think there's going to be a second year struggle for CJ Stroud and company. I think that the slump won't be there. Colts, I'm intrigued by. Anthony Richardson's a heck of a player. He's got to stay healthy. And you look at the Titans as well. Can Will Levis be the guy? They've got some nice weapons there with Calvin Ridley and DeAndre Hopkins when he's good to go. But I think I'm going to go with the Houston Texans. We'll go to the AFC West. You got the Broncos, Raiders, Chargers, Chiefs. Is anyone going against the Chiefs at this point, Declan? Like it almost seems foolish to bet against Kansas City.
Yeah, you just got to. You don't just have to pick them. They are heads and tails clearly the best team. But yes, I will be picking Kansas City at 12-5 to win their division.
I like it. Yeah, I'll also take Kansas City. The Raiders and Broncos, I think, building good teams. Quarterback questions. Want to see what Bo Nix can do for the Raiders. I think the defense led by Max Crosby is gonna cause teams fits, but I just don't know if their offense can put it together. But teams trending in the right direction. The NFC East, you got the Giants, Eagles, Commanders, Cowboys. Your guy Lowtide, big fan of the Philadelphia Eagles. You got to think they're top 2 in that division, Declan. I'm gonna say the Eagles. Yeah, I'll take the Eagles to win it. Just maybe 1 or 2 games ahead of the Dallas Cowboys, who I think will keep it competitive, but I'm taking Philly.
I think the Cowboys win the division at 12-5, and in typical Cowboys fashion, lose in a horrifically embarrassing wild card weekend game.
Classic.
And it's what they do every time. I have no reason not to think it's going to happen again, and that is my expectation for the Cowboys this year. Although I will say, I don't know if you've seen those training camp videos of Zeke, man. He looks like a 2000 Ford Focus with 400,000 clicks on him. Like, he looks weathered and rough. That said, I'm still going to take the Cowboys at 12-5, but it ends there. No playoff success.
Maybe I'm saying wild card and a win. Who knows? I haven't made that bold prediction just quite yet, but I'm thinking about it. In the NFC North, you got the Bears, Packers, Vikings, Lions. This is another very competitive division. Maybe with like high upside. The Lions, obviously, we know what they are. Packers, I really like Jordan Love and what he was able to do down the stretch last year. The Chicago Bears, well documented. We just talked about it with Zach Lang. In the Vikings, they got some nice players too. I think we'll see what their quarterback does, JJ McCarthy or Sam Darnold. But for me, it's Detroit Lions. I think Dan Campbell's building something very good down there. They're rewarding the players that they draft, keeping them in-house, and I like what they've built up there. And I don't think there's a more deserving fan base of seeing some more winning football. So give me the Detroit Lions to take the NFC North, Declan.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. Detroit, my heads and tails pick for that division. I do think Green Bay is going to be competitive and they're going to be good. And I think they'll also be a clear second place team in that division. But I do have Detroit as my firm number 1 team. I'm interested to see what the battle between Chicago and Minnesota is going to look like. I think you would have to think Minnesota is going to be the last team in that division with all the upgrades Chicago made, but they're still the Bears, right? Like they are about as poorly run as you can possibly get. So they might just Chicago bear it up. I'm not sure, but yeah, I'm taking Detroit. And as record prediction, of course, I'll say 11-6.
All right.
That sounds good.
I like it. Okay, NFC South, a division that for a long time was very competitive. I think it still will be, but maybe not at the high level. You got the Saints, Bucks, Falcons, and Carolina Panthers. Hoping for the best for the Panthers. I want to see them have some success. I'll take the Atlanta Falcons in this one, though. I think that the change at head coach was about 3 years too late. I never would have gone with Arthur Smith, and that's not just with a biased fantasy football player in me talking. Maybe it is. I really like the Atlanta Falcons. I think Kirk Cousins, it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next couple of years with Michael Penix Jr. there being drafted. But I think Kirk Cousins is the guy. He can move the ball downfield. He's got some weapons there. Drake London. I want to see what the impact is on Kyle Pitts at tight end.
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking the Atlanta Falcons.
I am going to take the New Orleans Saints, excuse me.
Derek Carr?
Yeah, at 9-8.
How many games does Spencer Rattler play?
0. As he should.
I want to see
9-8 for the New Orleans Saints.
He might be one of my worst takes. I did not like Spencer Rattler. He seemed a little arrogant, but I thought he was going to be good. He could make some nice throws, but
I did. Now, how many games do the Carolina Panthers win this year? Do they get more than 3 wins?
I'll say they get 3 wins exactly.
Okay.
What do you have them at?
Yeah, I think 3-14 is probably fair. They're so bad. So bad. I do think Bryce Young takes a step, though. But,
I hope
mean,
so.
it just doesn't matter because everything else around that team is so piss poor.
Yeah. You can't argue that. We're hoping for Chuba.
We're hoping for Chuba, former adversary of mine.
Yeah.
But
you tackled him once.
According
to legend.
The game tape exists somewhere, by
Yeah.
the way. You don't want to watch the rest of the game. Just watch that one play, though.
Tackled an NFL running back. Not many guys can say that. Final division, the NFC West. You got the Rams, Seahawks, Cards, and Niners. I assume we're probably in agreement on this one, but I'll let you go first.
Yeah, I will take the 49ers to win this one. 13-4. First place in the NFC.
Yeah, hard to argue that one.
But I think they'll have the best record in the NFC, but I don't know if they'll be viewed as the best team in the NFC, if that makes sense. Like, I think going into the playoffs, people may look at Dallas and Detroit and think those are the best teams. I've spoken my piece about Dallas. I think they flame out first round, but I think there may kind of be that narrative around San Francisco, if that makes sense.
I get it. Hey, we've seen that going before, like where a team has the best record, but people are skeptical. I think of those Pittsburgh Steelers teams a few years ago. They're like 8-0. I think it was the COVID season, and it was like, yeah, they have that record, but how good are they? They kind of fizzled out towards the end. A lot of texts coming in here. 1-833-401-1440. That is the Ewell inbox. We've got the burglar saying every time I hear Eagles, I think of Alvin and the Chipmunks and Theodore's fear of Eagles. I'll have to go back and take a look at that one. Husband of the OT Mill. For Declan, the Bills fan, this X-Files was a good show. Bill, Declan, you'll have to go check that one out. Democracy, known Ravens fans, just says, yeah, Ravens. Brad texting in. Broncos finished second at 10-7, getting the wild card. High hopes. High hopes for those Denver Broncos. Hey, Declan.
Yeah.
Bo Nix was your guy. Oregon quarterback. You're an Oregon football fan.
Yes, sir.
He wore a 10, just like his idol, Justin Herbert. What do you think about a Bo Nix here for the Denver Broncos? Because he did not look bad in preseason.
I think he's heads and tails the best quarterback in that room. I think he should be the day one starter. He was drafted where he was drafted for a reason. Zach Wilson is so bad at playing football. And unfortunately for him, that's his job. He's an NFL quarterback. Never a good look. Jarrett Stidham, also pretty bad at playing football. And is also an NFL quarterback. So I think it should be Bo Nix's room. I think it should be his offense. I don't know if Sean Payton I'm curious to see how he excels. But I think it should be his quarterback room for sure. And I think he should be the day one starter. And I like him and I'll be rooting for him. If Bo Nix can have some crazy offensive rookie of the year run and they can upseat the Kansas City Chiefs for first place in the AFC West, my goodness.
Yeah.
It would be incredible.
Imagine that.
It won't happen, but I'm hoping for it.
33-year-old rookie Bo Nix making his debut.
Yeah, just shy of his 40th birthday, winning Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Okay, we kid. He's only what, 25?
Yeah,
Only?
I think he just turned 25 in February.
Ridiculous 8-year college career. Good for him. He was beating up on those kids.
Started college at 14.
He's a Bronco. I have to take a few shots at him. Montana Rice says, Roddy Rich, baby. Was that the song we came back to?
It's Sir the Box by Roddy Rich.
I did not know it, but it all kind of came together. Totally off topic. I don't know if I want to get into this one. It's a long read. J-Rock, we'll come back to that one later. Maddie C says, well said, Declan. Been a fan of the Dolphins since Ace Ventura. Good movie. Classic. The sequel? No, I don't know. Maybe I got to give it a rewatch.
Now, there was also the other sequel where it's like Ace Ventura Jr., and it's like a little kid as a pet detective, or it's like him as a kid or something. I never saw it, but I'm just wondering if you did.
No.
Okay.
I watched Dumb and Dumber 2.
Dumb and Dumber?
Well, that was the one with...
When Harry Met Lloyd?
That was like the Jim Carrey one?
That was the one with Eugene Levy as the principal
Yeah.
when they're in high school.
I took a bunch of friends to that one, like vouched for it, and it was terrible. I've been a little skeptical of prequels since then. The second one, though, Dumb and Dumber 2, but it's like, is it TOO? I think that one was okay. There was an Ace Ventura cartoon as well, I believe. Another one I didn't really get into. Big John says, how do you feel about the Raiders' elite defense and good weapons? Just big question marks at QB. Big John, yeah. I mean, I got questions with their running backs. I've got questions with their defense. I mean, I think Max Crosby's an animal. Wilkins is going to be a very good addition, but no quarterback. Tom Telesco, I tell you, as a Chargers fan, guy builds good teams, but I do have to question the depth. If there's an injury, does he have the players around them that can slide in and fill it? But he always does build good teams. I think the Raiders got to get a quarterback, and then I think they'll be well on their way. We should take a break. When we come back, we will be joined in studio by Wanye Gretz of Oilers Nation. We're also going to talk to Justin Rankin, Edmonton Elks running back. We'll get to Theo Dorsey from ESPN, talk some Finns. Kevin Woodley in Goal Magazine, talk some goaltending. And, of course, Mark Spector. It is the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. Right now, though, we get to a Sports 1440 update brought to you by UL, supplying the City of Champions and all of Alberta with great electrical gear since 1976. Order yours now at ewel.ca. Here is Declan Kruger.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
And for your Sports 1440 update, we start in the MLB. The first game's on the dock today, taking place at 4:40. It will be the Cubs and Guardians, and Cardinals and Reds. A little later on in the day, we'll see the Astros and Rays, Rangers and Red Sox, Royals and Twins, and of course the Toronto Blue Jays in action as they take on the Los Angeles Angels out in LA with a 7:38 p.m. first pitch, and it will be Francis on the mound in that one. Some NHL news around the hockey world as Patrick Laine and his fiancée have launched a mental health initiative called From Us to You. The Devils have re-signed forward Nolan Foote on a one-year, two-way contract, and unrestricted free agent Sam Gagner eyes a return for his 18th NHL season. Around the sporting world, the Boston Red Sox have suspended Jarren Duran 2 games for an anti-gay slur he used towards a fan in last night's game. The Saskatchewan Roughriders quarterback Trevor Harris is taking the starting reps as they match up with the Montreal Alouettes later on in this week. Other news around the sporting world is Hassan Reddick has requested a trade from the Jets that was rebuffed by the GM at this point, and the University of Georgia is number 1 in the preseason college football rankings for both the AP and the coaches poll. Edmonton Riverhawks in action tonight as they take on the Bellingham Bells in playoff action. That series currently tied at 1-1, and first pitch for this one will be 7:35 our time out in Joe Martin Field. Coming up on the Jason Gregor Show with guest host Connor Halley, we will be joined by Wanye Gretz of Oilers Nation and Justin Rankin, the Elks running back. I'm Declan Kruger. This has been a Sports 1440 update.
What's 1440?
A Stingray radio station.
Broadcasting on Treaty 6 territory.
Download the free iHeartRadio app and listen to CKJR wherever you go.
The only thing as hot as the weather this summer is a night out at On the Rocks. Every weekend, enjoy live music and top DJs spinning your favorite tracks. The dance floor is the place to be. Celebrating a birthday or stagette? Let OTR take the work out of the planning for you. Book your party online at ontherocksedmonton.com. Join OTR every evening from 4 p.m. for a great atmosphere and good company. There's something for everyone to enjoy. Grab your Good Vibe Drive and head to On the Rocks, corner of Jasper Ave and 118th Street.
You've got a go-to coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need: Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939, we're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is your supplier of maximum comfort, bringing you the cool AC you need. You just have to
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
for comfort at night when the hot air suffocates you.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
For comfort in your wallet with no payments or interest for 1 year.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
You deserve comfort. Cool off today with AC from Legacy Heating and Cooling.
An accident. And it wasn't your fault.
How do I get the compensation and support I need?
How do I get treatment paid for?
Why does an insurance adjuster want to meet with me?
Where do I even start with all this paperwork?
What if I never get better?
Feels like no one has my back.
Robinson LLP does. Visit RobinsonLLP.com to find your injury lawyer. Robinson LLP, the recovery team.
Have you lost control of your debt following unexpected car troubles, home repairs, an illness, or a divorce? You're not alone. Life happens. My name is Parveen Middleton, a licensed insolvency trustee at BDO here in Edmonton, and I'm here to listen to your story. Every day, I craft personalized debt relief solutions to help people like you regain control. Take the first step now. Call 1-833-BDO-TALK or visit bdodebt.ca to book your free consultation.
Yay.
Portions of this hour brought to you by Japa Machinery. Japa is digging deep on their 50-year history of supporting Alberta's construction industry with their line of special edition blackout excavators. Visit japamachinery.com for all the details.
Brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. Check them out online. Have some fun. You got the lotto coming up as well. Lots of money to be won. Sports betting, Major League Baseball. You have the CFL on the weekend. The NFL preseason getting going. Hockey will be back before you know it. So lots of fun to be had at PlayAlberta.ca. Coming to you live from the EUL studios here in West Edmonton Mall. Connor Halley, Declan Kruger, and Donovan Paulson sitting in as Jason Gregor takes a couple weeks off. Much deserved, I will say. A couple texts rolling in here. Lance says, don't sleep on the Raiders. Oh, Lance, you know me. I've been sleeping on the Raiders. I I can't buy into it. They'll beat the Chargers once. They'll probably beat the Chiefs, but I don't know if I got them as a playoff team. Montana to Rice says, Declan, out of curiosity, what made you a Bills fan? So, Declan, what's your origin story?
My Bills origin story. Yeah, so basically, I used to play Madden 06 with my dad. He would always take kickoff with me with Darren Sproles. And I was like, man, like, I got to figure out a way to match this. This is getting ridiculous here. So the Bills return man at the time was Roscoe Parrish. And I was like, this guy's electric. So that was kind of how I became a Bills fan and just stuck with it ever since.
The U legend, right?
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
What year was this? Was this Charger Sproles or
Charger Sproles, baby? Charger Sproles. And he always did this thing where like I would get the kickoffs and I would just go for it. He would get the kickoffs and actually let his block set up and then take it back. And he did, like it killed me with it. He killed me with these kick return touchdowns. And I was like, I gotta figure out a way to get this, like match this somehow. So Roscoe Parrish was the answer, and Bills fan ever since.
Those Chargers teams in Madden, like, you know, you had LT, you had Gates, you had Sproles. They had some weapons.
You know, there was a year, Connor, you might have even had the number one offense, the number one defense.
Don't go there.
And not made the playoffs. Could you imagine that?
A brutal special teams will do that to you.
We've talked about that, and I was like, Connor, how? And like, you literally said, you're like, Declan, like the special teams, man. They just got killed every time out there.
There was a real bad stretch. I mean, it's continued my whole life as a Chargers fan, but like, blocked punts in the worst situation, inability to get a good hold, Nate Kading whiffing on it. It happens. It's a very unique stat to have the best, you know, offense and defense and then still miss the playoffs. But if there's a team that can do it, bet your bottom dollar it's those Chargers, formerly of San Diego. Well, we did get Cam Tate's 2-minute warning. For those who don't know, Cam Tate does have cerebral palsy and always wanted to be on the radio. Gregor in Sports 1440 made it happen. Through the power of technology, we'll get to another edition of Cam Tate's 2-minute warning brought to you by Action Electric. They're the most diversified electrical contractor in Alberta with 4 divisions in project service, tag, and solar for commercial or real estate. Contact them today at actionelectrical.net. Here's Cam Tate's words.
Hey there, Gregor. Want to say thanks to the 77 people who voted for the senior executive producer of the 2-minute warning who voted on today's topic on Twitter. Thank you. We're going to do it again if we get it by Gregor. And I think we will. I'll just tell him, Zaire, the results are in. And today we're going to chat about a gold medal winner, a Canadian at the Paris Olympics who didn't participate in sports, and I have a wonderful memory of him. And a lesson I will forever regard how this gentleman really listens. I mean, really listens, which makes him a masterful storyteller. And that was one Saturday morning, Rexall Place, 15 feet away, perhaps, from the pathway and Edmonton Oilers were getting ready to walk down for a morning skate. He was in town as part of the CBC Hockey Night in Canada crew, getting ready to work the Oilers game. Some 10 hours later, he had written a book, and I was wanting to write one. He agreed for a 10-minute chat before the morning skate. Sitting in a booth, we began. I asked my questions. Now, I live with cerebral palsy. Don't speak very clearly. That's why the 2-minute warning is read. He was really struggling to understand me. I saw it in his eyes, his entire face. But what trumped his FF frustration was his steadfast goal to understand every word, every sentence, or if he thought so he could understand everything, and then put his own thoughts and answer the question, but also safely place that piece of information to retain in a moment's notice. It's always a little more fun to watch a sporting event with someone. And when that someone is driven by the out sport with a passion for it that comes shining through in his voice, his face, his tears of national pride. For the last 17 years, Upper's been sitting beside us, right by our television sets, cheering for Canada, right beside us. Now, after almost 40 years in broadcasting, he's retiring. Canadians will miss him, but we wish him well. We say thank you and the very best of luck to our fellow Canadian, Mr. Scott Russell. The 2-minute warning, Monday, Friday, Jason Gregor Show, Sports 1440.
Towards Scott Russell for the Olympics. That should be the topic. Now, I did want to hear Cam Tate's opinion on the Elks. That's what I voted for. We also had the Riverhawks, who are in action tonight, taking on the Bells. Loser goes home. But very good words on Scott Russell there. Yeah, an absolute legend in the broadcasting industry. You hear him speak. I don't know. Something just kind of, it feels right. You know, throw on the TV, watch some Olympic games, and you hear Russell. Dynamic. I was looking at that 92, 98, 2002, 2006 to now. Also did a little bit of work on CFL, So definitely a heck of a career. Someone I think everyone in the biz that we're currently in can aspire to try to be. 1-833-401-1440. We are going to be joined by Wanye Gretz in a couple minutes here. He's probably going to come in hot. If you listen very carefully, you might actually hear him because he was recording a podcast, but he's going to join us from probably, let's say, 3:20 for the remainder of this show. We will get to Wanye's world, and that's where we actually give away some Oodle Noodle. So make sure you stick around for that. Wanye usually makes it quite easy. All you have to do is participate, and one lucky person will win a couple free meals at Oodle Noodle. And you can stretch that into 2 meals. When I first got it, I've confessed this a few times. I don't know. I wouldn't necessarily try too many new things. And I hadn't gone to Oodle Noodle until about maybe a year ago at this time. And now I love it. I stretch it into 2 meals. Great serving size, great food. So we'll do that later on in the show. 1-833-401-1440. Again, shout out to those of you tuning in on the YouTube channel. I see Robert, Greg, a few more is dropping in there. Make sure you hit that like button. We're going to try to get up to like 50 likes. That's what I'm guessing that Norman de Combine's birthday is. I think he's turning 50-ish. So if we get 50 likes, that'll be a good one on the day. Another storyline we haven't got to quite yet. I was hoping to talk to Wanye about it, but Sam Gagner indicating that he would like to get back into action for another season. Obviously, he's had a very good, long NHL career, 3 stints with the Edmonton Oilers. I think a guy that everyone in Edmonton, if it was a fan-based transaction, they'd love to have Sam Gagner back with the Edmonton Oilers. Absolutely great role model, a guy you'd love to have in the room for younger players. Could certainly have some good influence there. Spend some time with the Condors there. So remember his first game with the team this season, coming back from the double hip surgery. He scored 2 goals, going to the blue paint, like made an immediate impact. Whatever he decides, we're hoping the best for Sam Gagner. 18th pro season it would be. We'll see what happens there. Maybe that's a PTO somewhere. I know for a fact that he could be a good player on some teams. Not sure if it's Edmonton. Obviously, right now they're already over the cap issue. And, I think when he finishes his playing career, he's probably got a bright future in management or coaching, whatever it might be. But Sam Gagner turns 35 just this past weekend. We'll see what happens. I know Wanye will probably say, give him another contract, lock him up for another couple of years. Declan, I know you've had that in your update the last couple of times here. For Sam Gagner, probably a little unrealistic for it to be in Edmonton, but I think we're probably on the same page. You'd love to see him keep playing if he's able to.
Yeah, I would. And I'm not the biggest, Oilers guy in the world. I think that's well documented. I'm not the biggest hockey guy in the world. I'm not the biggest believer that Sam Gagner is maybe at the stature or level some people think they do, but he's still a great hometown guy. Great story. So much love for him by the fans. I would like to see him keep playing, and I would like to see it be in the Edmonton Oilers organization. I know it sounds weird to say because he's had 3 stints with the team. He's obviously been other places, but it would feel wrong to see him in his 18th season, not in an Edmonton Oilers jersey. As far as I'm concerned, like when I think of Sam Gagner, I think of him as an Edmonton Oiler. The same way he's obviously not this player. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that. And people may disagree. Maybe I'm in the minority here. Maybe this is just me, but I think of him as, Sidney Crosby with the Penguins, Alex Ovechkin with the Capitals. I know he's not that level of player, nowhere near, but that's what I think of when I think of Sam Gagner with the Oilers.
You're not looking at Sam Gagner, the Coyote, the Flyer, the Jacket, the Canucks, the Red Wings.
That's exactly it. Like I think of him. And do you disagree? Maybe you do. Like maybe I'm maybe I'm completely on my own in this, and I'm not even the biggest Sam Gagner guy in the world, but I just think of him as being kind of synonymous with the organization.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, first round pick, burst onto the scene as a rookie. I mean, who doesn't remember those Sam Gagner shootout goals? There's compilations on YouTube. You can go watch those. Absolutely dynamic. I think, I believe he met his wife here. Obviously he's going to have ties to this city for however long as he wants. Like, I honestly think that he's a kind of guy with great hockey mind. I think he's got a future in it. I believe Andrew Cogliano retired and got into hockey management. Those guys were buddies with their time here. So you got to think there was a lot of talking the game. But yeah, I wouldn't throw out those names, Crosby, Ovechkin, because, I mean, that's like worldwide when you think of those guys. You're always going to think of those teams. But if there's a team related for the Edmonton Oilers or for Sam Gagner, it's 100% the Edmonton Oilers. And we'll see. We'll monitor that one as it progresses here and see exactly what happens. But I think for sure, he can keep on going, keep on playing. Maybe it's a two-way deal, and he'll have to put some time in at the AHL level. But I never want to be the guy who says, hey, so-and-so, time to hang him up. Keep playing as long as you can. If the game that you love so much still has a spot for you, and there's a team out there that will take you, keep going. Play as long as you can. Enjoy it, because there's going to be a point where you physically can't, and you're going to miss it like crazy. So keep on going as long as you can. Now, we'll take a break here. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the Edmonton Elks and a guy who has been pretty good when called upon, Justin Rankin, running back. He had 10 carries for 60 yards against the Rough Riders, and then against BC, 7 carries, 77 yards, 1 reception, 17 yards, and a touchdown. Pretty much clinched the game. Put it on ice. The Edmonton Elks are doing some great things, and Justin Rankin coming in this year, I believe, cut at one point. He was brought back, gets on the field, and he's making plays. So we're going to talk to him next about a little bit about his journey to the CFL. It's been an interesting one, and how the team has changed since they picked up that first win and what it's like in the room. That's coming up next here on the Jason Gregor Show on Sports 1440, also Oilers Nation, YouTube, Twitter, Sports 1440's Facebook and Instagram. Connor Halley, Declan Kruger, Donovan Paulson with you. We'll be back right after this talking some CFL football.
The cheesy burger pizza is back at Papa John's. See what happens when you ask for it? Boom! Finally, it's on the menu again for a limited time. Get all the items in the cheesy burger trio, or choose between the large cheesy burger pizza for $18.99, cheesy burger papadilla for $9.99, and bacon cheesy burger papa bites for $8.99. All made with sizzling beef, dilly pickles, ooey gooey cheese, and burger sauce. That's right, burger sauce. Get it before it's gone. Better ingredients, better pizza. Better get you some cheesy burger pizza at Papa John's.
Excavators, loaders, lifts, compaction equipment, and more. Find the XCMG construction equipment you need. Available for rental or sale at Japa Machinery Group. Japa, helping build Alberta from the ground up for 50 years. Visit japamachinery.com. Elevate your home's curb appeal effortlessly with House Numbers Canada. Locally owned and operated right here in Edmonton. Their state-of-the-art modern house numbers and address signs are the perfect solution for a quick and stylish upgrade. Multiple size and color options, stock items, custom designs, and the always popular LED illuminated numbers. Quality guaranteed or your money back. So what are you waiting for? Give your home the modern upgrade it deserves. Explore House Numbers Canada's exclusive collection at housenumberscanada.ca.
Gather around the radio, kiddies, for the best time of day. It's Oodle Noodle time. Listen in this week as your noodle hero battles the barbarous Bobby Burger. Now sing along. You know the word. Oodle Noodle time. Oodle Noodle time. You know what time it is now. Get up and give me your best Oodle Noodle dance. Your best time of day is Oodle Noodle time.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is your supplier of maximum comfort, bringing you the cool AC you need. You just have to
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
for comfort at night when the hot air suffocates you.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
For comfort in your wallet with no payments or interest for 1 year.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
You deserve comfort. Cool off today with AC from Legacy Heating and Cooling.
The Charm Offensive with Jim Jeffries.
Every generation before you has also been the most progressive generation.
And Jimmy Carr.
I don't know how to explain this to you. I'm not that small, I'm just far away.
One night, 2 comedy icons. September 8th, Rogers Place. Tickets available at Ticketmaster.ca. The Charm Offensive with Jim Jeffries and Jimmy Carr. Produced by Outback Presents.
Bacon or sausage and egg McMuffin? It's a delicious dilemma. But what if you didn't have to choose? The Mighty McMuffin is back with bacon and sausage. Mighty McMuffin, mighty impressive. For a limited time at participating McDonald's in Canada.
Summer adventures are more fun in a new Mitsubishi from Cross Mitsubishi.
Home of the largest 2024 Mitsubishi inventory in Western Canada.
All this month, get 0% financing on all 2024 Mitsubishi models.
Plus, get up to a $3,000 trade-in bonus.
And double the loyalty rebate for all existing Mitsubishi owners, up to $1,000.
Visit Cross Mitsubishi today and drive your ambition.
9605 34th Avenue and crossmitsubishi.ca.
Tee-off is 9 a.m. on Friday, August 30th in support of the Gregor Foundation, and you can register now at nationgear.ca.
Look good, feel good, play good.
Connor Halley, Declan Kruger, Donovan Paulson with you here. Gregor on vacation. He'll be back in a couple of weeks here. We also got Wanye Gretz in studio. Wanye, good afternoon. How are you doing today? Declan, we will need you to turn on Wanye's little mic. There we go.
Summer, dad left. We get to have all the fun we want while he's gone.
Absolutely.
Kids are running the house.
How much oodle noodle are we giving away today?
None, because I think our gift cards are expired.
Oh, we got some.
We have new ones?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
They last till October.
Do they really?
Yeah.
Fantastic news.
Yeah.
We'll give it all away. Give it all away. Every last noodle.
That will be, well, the people will hang around for that then.
Fantastic.
Lots to get to on the show still, but we're going to get to our big guest of the day right now, brought to you by the JPHL, an academy-style approach for U14, U15, and U18 players with a focus on skill development and education. Learn more at juniorprospectshockeyleague.com. We're going to bring in a member of the Edmonton Elks who have now won 2 straight games. This individual lighting it up. 7 carries, 77 yards, also had 1 reception for 17 yards and a touchdown against the BC Lions yesterday to put the game on ice. Running back Justin Rankin joining us here on the show. Justin, good afternoon. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How y'all doing?
Hey, we're doing really good. Appreciate you hopping on with us here. Lots of stuff. I was taking a look back at some of your career. So I want to get to obviously the current squad in the Elks and how things are going. But I was looking back at your time in the IFL with the Bay Area Panthers, also the Frisco Fighters. You spent some time with Bismarck as well. But am I right? Your last season with the Bay Area Panthers, did you have 49 touchdowns?
Yes, sir. I had 49 touchdowns, like 900 yards. We won a championship.
I mean, at what point do the celebrations, is it still exciting when you're north of 40 touchdowns in a single season?
Yeah, it definitely is. It's hard to score touchdowns, no matter how many it is. So, it was always exciting. And, it wasn't all me. So it was always exciting to celebrate with my teammates.
Now, Justin, I want to ask you, because coming out of college, I don't know, maybe some NFL calls weren't really there, the CFL. What led you to the Indoor Football League?
I came out that COVID year. So, the world kind of shut down. It was kind of weird, but one of the only leagues that was going on still was, the indoor league. And one of my buddies, Malik Duncan, kind of helped me get in the indoor. And, the rest is history. I was there for 3 years.
Now, out of Kent State, what was the biggest change going to Indoor Football League? Because we've all seen it. It looks like it's very quick. Things happen. You're playing on a smaller field. What was the biggest adjustment going from the collegiate level to the IFL?
I would really say the wall. You'll hear it all the time from a lot of arena guys. The wall is undefeated. And having that wall there, and it definitely is in the back of your mind, like the whole time that you're playing. And, you got to get to the point where you're okay with going over it. You're okay with getting into it.
And then obviously, so you said 3 seasons there, 49 touchdowns last year, I believe a championship. And at what point did you start getting a little more attention from the Canadian Football League and in particular the Edmonton Elks?
Actually, it was the head coach for the Las Vegas team in indoor, Mike Davis. He kind of brought my attention to the CFL, and he vouched for me. He was liking the way I was playing in indoor, and he really helped me get outside. So I really appreciate him for that. Huge shout out to him, and now we're here.
Edmonton Elks running back Justin Rankin joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Connor Halley sitting in for Jason today. Now, when you got the call and, made the first trip up to Canada, obviously you get out there on the practice field and, it is a little bit different from the American game and very different from the indoor game. There's a few different changes, the field size, particular linemen. You're probably seeing wide receivers in the motion, not the same as some of the football you've played. So what was it like the first time you got out there on the field and experienced the Canadian game?
It wasn't too much different. Like, we still had the high motion in indoor. And there was a couple of rule changes. I think that was the biggest thing for me was some of the different rules. The field is bigger, but I don't know. That doesn't really bother me too much. But it was more so some of the rules and different nuances of the game. But for the most part, football is football. go score touchdowns and stop them from scoring.
How have you liked Edmonton so far off the field?
I like Edmonton. It's a nice little city. You know, it's enjoyable. The downtown is nice. I like it. Not too bad.
What do you get up to on an off day? I mean, there's some film and getting some work done, but in the free time in the city, what are you doing?
I just watch film and work out. That's all I do. I'm here to play football.
I love it. I love it. The game, the last couple games, I mean, it's probably a little bit tough. Kevin Brown obviously was a starting running back, and Javon Leake's been outstanding when he gets in there. Leading up to these games, how tough has it been to just sit there and wait for that opportunity to get in?
I mean, it's not too tough at all. You know, I just like playing football. I like being around the guys, the team camaraderie. So, you know, it's really tough for me. Whatever my role is, you know, I'll accept it. I'll play it to the best of my capabilities. So, you know, it wasn't really too tough. I love watching guys succeed. I love watching guys play. And if there's anything I can do to be able to help them do that and put them in great positions, you know, I'll do that. Whether it's on scout team or, you know, playing as a backup, a starter, whatever the case may be, you know, I love football.
Now, you had Kevin Brown ahead of you and Javon Leake, who's been in the league for a while and really starting to burst onto the scene as a runner. We know him from his special teams time in Toronto. What have those guys taught you about playing, and when you get your opportunity, what you have to do to stay out there?
Really just, you know, making sure I don't have a lot of MAs, you know, staying patient in my runs and, you know, picking up pass pro, you know, basically just being consistent every day. You know, and as long as I could do that, you know, they told me, shoot, you have a long career out here.
Justin Rankin, running back for the Edmonton Elks, joining us here on the Gregor Show. Justin, obviously a bit of a change a couple weeks ago when Trey Ford was named the starter. Different styles, obviously. McLeod-Bethel-Thompson, proven passer in the league, and then you get Trey Ford in there, a guy who has a little bit of the ability to run and make some plays with his feet as well as with his arm. From your spot, how much does it change how defenses approach you when you have a guy like Trey Ford in there under center?
It definitely changed a lot. I mean, you have to account for Trey. You know, he's a dynamic runner, a very dynamic runner, but, you know, he can also throw the ball like very well. So it's definitely a change that they have to do to be able to always account for Trey, you know, no matter what the scheme is.
The touchdown you caught from McLeod-Bethel-Thompson, it looked like you were blocking there for a second, maybe. What was the play call there? And then when it kind of breaks down, what's going through your head when you catch the ball?
Yeah, I was actually just on a check down. You know, I turned around, I seen MBT running towards me. You know, I locked eyes with him and shoot, he tossed the ball to me. And after that, you know, I was just able to play football. You know, I just wanted to get in the end zone. That was my first touchdown. So, you know, that's all I could really think about was like, get in the end zone.
Justin, just a couple more for you. Really appreciate your time here joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show. What changed in the room after that win in Saskatchewan? I just talked to Hernan, and he had told me it was a bit of a turbulent flight on the way home. But once you guys landed and you got the monkey off your back, you get the first win of the season. How much of a change did that have in the room?
Definitely a lot. You know, I think it just really helped guys see like, man, we can win and we can play and can compete, you know, against anybody. It doesn't matter who it is, the best, the worst. It doesn't matter. You know, as long as we go out there and play our game and worry about what we got to do in our jobs, you know, we can win. We can win football games.
Awesome.
And it definitely, the energy was definitely a huge shift.
Excellent, Justin. Well, really appreciate your time here. Good luck this weekend taking on the Hamilton Tiger Cats. I mean, it's crazy. With the 0-7 start, people might have been writing you guys off, but a couple more wins here, especially against those Stampeders. You guys are right back into this. So best of luck with the remainder of the season, and maybe we'll talk to you later on.
Yes, sir. Most definitely. Thank you for having me.
There you go. That is Justin Rankin, Edmonton Elks running back. He had against the Riders 10 carries for 60 yards, then against the BC Lions 7 carries for 77. So anytime you're averaging over 10 yards per carry, you're doing something right. And for the Edmonton Elks, along with Javon Leake, things are going very well. To keep this up, who knows? We've talked about it a lot, how in the CFL, things really get going after Labor Day, and the Edmonton Elks playing their best football of the season. We'll see if that continues. That segment brought to you by the JPHL. Learn more at juniorprospectshockeyleague.com. We still have Wanye Gretz here. He's going to be here for the remainder of the show. You're getting a little prep here, so we kept you out of that interview, but you got to lead the way for the Miami Dolphins one.
I'm just trying to catch up on the world at large here right now, Connor. I'm just reading about the Olympics. I'm getting all caught up. I'll tell you, there's there's a lot going on for the dead of summer.
What was the podcast you guys were taping before you made your way over here?
Well, we were taping Nation Real Life. So we do that
Okay.
on Mondays and we do that on Thursdays. So I said to them, hey, I got to go. And they're like, well, we have lives too, Wanye. And I'm like, well, not more important than mine. I'm going to see Connor and the boys at 1440. So
Not live radio.
No, yeah, exactly. You can't
match
move
that.
live radio.
You can't do it. Well, we're glad that you came in and happy you could join us for an extra couple segments here on the show today. Evander Kane, I guess that's kind of the big story, possibilities of him ending up on the LTIR. We'll see what happens with the surgery, things of that nature. But thoughts on that, basically, Wanye? Open-ended question.
It's an interesting play. I mean, gaming the LTIR loopholes, right? I hope Oilers fans are complaining now that we've seen Tampa Bay do it. We've seen Vegas make use of it year after year. It seems that we're entering the fray too.
You got to do it. Like, why wouldn't you? If things play out that way, and all of a sudden you get on your high horse and say, we don't believe that should be done, and we're not going to, your fan base is going to say, no, that's stupid. Like, take advantage of this while you can.
Absolutely. I think you got to make use of every trick in the book, as they say, right? Everything to ice the most competitive team they can. And we were, 350,000? Oilers, rather, were 350,000 over the cap going into the day. And now this is going to free up enough room to Holloway and Broberg deals now get done. What do you figure?
That's what it looks like. 354,167. We talked to your colleague, Zach Lang of Oilers Nation. He put those numbers around 900,000 for both those players. So there you go. And then there might still be a little bit more.
It's amazing in the cap era how every penny truly counts, doesn't it?
It really does. It really does. Like, and you couldn't blame the Oilers, even if it's one of those things where it's like, let's worry about that later. Let's sign Arvidsson. Let's sign Skinner. Let's sign or keep Adam Henrique and Corey Perry in Edmonton. That stuff we'll figure out. But look, we got an opportunity to bring these guys in. Let's just do it.
Is there advantages in the long run to like looking for players you could put on the LTIR throughout the season to bring in a second wave of cavalry when the playoffs start? You're like, oh, suddenly these 4 hurt guys are no longer hurt. We did it again.
Yeah, he needs a procedure. There's a tweak. Let's go for it.
One of the things that shocked me was when they signed Corey Perry. I didn't understand why it wasn't a league minimum deal. Corey Perry's made a lot of money in his life. He knows every penny counts here. What they signed for 1.4, I think, for the year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why? That extra $700,000 actually could go a long way. But Corey Perry knows what he's doing.
Maybe some hardball from the agent.
You think?
I don't know. I that's all I can. That's
in
all
my mind, Corey Perry is here to win. We should be. If Corey Perry's agent would like to phone in, text into the line, we can get right to it. But every last penny counts. That's for sure.
And what's the expectation for games played for him?
For Corey Perry?
I mean, because he came out in the playoffs. If you're going to come out in the playoffs for some games, I got to think in the regular season we're going to see that too. And maybe that's part of the intrigue of an aging Corey Perry. Like, yeah, every once in a while, I don't mind sitting out.
Did you like him last season? I liked him.
I had no issue with him. I mean, in the playoffs, I think there was games where he looked like he was a little out of place, and that resulted in him coming out of games. During the regular season, I mean, what was it against his old team, the Ducks? Like one of his first games, he had the flyby on, I don't know who was starting for sure, just knocked the stick out of his hands. Like I love that sort of stuff. So for Corey Perry to be an Oiler and do those sorts of things, I mean, it's a great element to have on your team and to pass it on to the younger players.
I think we're hitting an interesting point in the Oilers development curve where we used to bring in the Duncan Keiths, we used to bring the Corey Perrys to bring that championship vibe into the dressing room and that really valuable experience late in the playoffs. But I think the Oilers now, having been obviously to Game 7, they have a lot of that expertise in-house now, right? They have those veterans now with a deep cup run under their belt because that was them.
Team Dean is bringing up that it's not similar to Vegas because it's not right before the deadline. Until then, it's not even worth the conversation. I don't think anyone's saying you're pulling the exact same thing that Vegas is because, no, timing does make a difference. But the fact that you can use the LTIR as a benefit is similar to Vegas. Timing's different.
Team Dean, that's who it was?
Team Dean, yeah.
Team Dean. At no point was I suggesting that our mighty Edmonton Oilers were in equally shady pools as the Las Vegas Golden Knights. I'm saying people that are playing these kinds of games, right? The Vegas is obviously the best of it. And they take it to an extreme, but we've entered the chat.
Worked out pretty good for Tampa as well.
Yeah.
With Kucherov. I remember we had a guest on talking about Kucherov coming back like around that time. And they were like, oh, he'll be fine. He'll probably score 2 goals in his return. And I'm pretty sure he did. Like he was ready to go for sure. They definitely took advantage. I will not say it's similar exactly.
Yeah.
But just in the terms of using it to your advantage.
The gamesmanship, right? But it's a loophole that's open to all 32 teams in the league. So it isn't
Absolutely.
as though necessarily anyone's doing anything wrong. You just got to be willing to play the game.
The rule hasn't been changed.
When would that come up? The next CBA?
I guess so.
When's that due?
Gregor's not here.
Yeah, exactly. The kids are in charge. When's the next CBA? 2087.
Sometime. We'll figure it out. But yeah, I mean, it's the same sort of thing. If someone on the Oilers who was making north of $5 million had an injury in March and it needed surgery, you would take advantage of it, would you not? Like, you gotta.
How does it work? So why would they do it, for example, make the announcement now and not closer to training camp? Like, what's the advantage?
Well, no real announcement has come out.
Just Stoffer.
Bob down the dial. Yeah.
The Bob father, of course.
So when he says something well connected, you're going to
it's gospel.
Trust it, right?
Of
so
course.
That's why it's kind of coming in now. But Gregor's been saying this all summer.
Is there an advantage to when you should have a guy like that go on the LTIR? Because it doesn't aggregate the cap space, does it?
Well, there's no cap space in the playoffs. So in my opinion, down the stretch, and then you bring them back right on time if you're living in a perfect world. But I don't know. I was listening to Ty and Liam talk about it today, and I mean that stuff's just over my head.
Well, if they're listening to you and we're listening to them, it's a circle.
We'll have Ty on Wednesday. We'll
Sure.
get his thoughts on it. Go a little deeper into it. It's a little more research. Jay texting in the text line 1-833-401-1440. Guys, the only way it becomes the same as Vegas or Tampa is if Kane's on the LTIR until one of the playoff games when he's ready to play. With the surgery he's having, he's likely going to be ready before the playoffs. So it's not the same. But it's still using LTIR to your advantage. Yeah. So that's all. It's not the same as Vegas. No, you're right. Not the same as Tampa. Not the same as Chicago when they did it. But you got to use these things to your help, especially with the acquisitions that the Oilers made. Klaus from Beaumont says, yeah, the Perry signing is definitely one I'm confused by. Don't mind him for 1.4. I'd pass. Oh, sorry. I don't mind him, but for 1.4, I would pass. That's what that one says.
Love Corey Perry at 750.
Oh, absolutely.
Love him.
I mean, you give him a cool mill.
Cool.
I'm loving it too.
Yeah.
But 1.4, man, yeah, you're right. With that extra money, you could probably put that in another direction, especially when you've got a couple of young players, RFAs that you want to sign up for another year.
I'm not concerned if Leon signs for 13.6 or 14.1, but Corey Perry, every $25,000 increment counts.
It does. Pay Leon.
Yeah.
Write the check.
Whatever you need.
But with everyone else, you got to find a way to
What do you think
adapt.
he'll get, Connor? What do you think Leon will sign for?
I mean, it's got to be north of 13, right? That's what I
think.
think. And I'm leaning towards long-term deal.
If Oilers Nation Instagram's any source of news, and I certainly don't speak to it, but it says that he only wants to have a max term deal.
Yeah. Stay in Edmonton. And then, I mean, it's not 100% in life. Nothing really is. But then Connor McDavid, I mean,
well,
it's got to be almost 99%.
You got to think they're making decisions in advance here.
Yeah. And I don't know. If you're Leon Draisaitl and you're happy, you're in a place that's willing to spend money, you got a world-class facility, one of your best buddies plays on the team, a couple of your best buddies got a chance to win and still make that much money, it almost seems like a no-brainer.
You have to think that Leon Draisaitl, who is an absolute unit, I mean, there's no taking away from how good Leon Draisaitl has been in the NHL, but certainly he'd have to think that there'd be a during Connor phase of his career and then a post-Connor phase, and he'd always have to be living up to that. Could he have done it without Connor? Look, he can't do it without Connor type talk. You boys signed for life. No one's talking about that in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Right? Gino and Sid.
Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, it was different players, obviously. I mean, Toews had the offensive upside, but was great defensively too. But
I'm so happy that we live in an era where A, there is a salary cap, because I remember the before times when we were losing guys for $100,000, and B, the finances of the OEG are as strong as they are. Because I can remember when the Oilers, I don't know if you're old enough to remember, but like David Oliver is a guy I remember in my youth, and he scored
Absolutely.
like 20 goals and left over what I recall was on like $100,000 a year to New York. And it was like we wanted the Oilers to be good, but not too good, because we couldn't afford them if they got too good in a contract year. Doug Waite, Bill Guerin spring to mind. They could have been not necessarily the Connor and Leon of their generation, but definitely our 1 and 2 star players. And they both said they wanted to play here after the fact, but had to leave due to finances. I'm so happy we don't live in that era anymore.
if you want to go back and name those Oilers, like, you know, like the memes guys can sit around and talk old Oilers. Like we talked about that last week. I asked Gregor on the topic of Vincent Desharnais being a fan favorite, but not being like the star player. your favorite like Oilers role players of all time. I was like Andrei Kovalenko, Igor Kravchuk, Marius Turkowski, David Oliver is another good one. Like Steve Kelly, Jason Bond Sr. I don't think he was loved by many, but I thought he was going to be a stud when I was 7 years old.
Oh, for sure. Remember Jason A and Jason B they drafted that year?
Yeah, I mean, those were the guys you love. But I do remember that balance of like, okay, we want him to be good, but he played too good. Another team's coming calling. Rangers are going to get you.
Yeah, the Rangers were a menace in those days. And the Coyotes, remember how bad they were signing everybody with a pulse to massive, massive deals in those days.
The Red Wings weren't coming after any Oilers, hey?
No.
You needed to be a superstar for the Red Wings to get you.
We were just getting rated in those days. We were basically the AHL team for the rich teams.
Yeah. Development league.
Awful.
We'll take a break. When we come back up, more of your text. We'll talk some more of the Oilers. Of course, we got the CFL going on as well. We'll talk some NFL later on in the show. We're going to head down to Miami, talk about those Miami Dolphins with ESPN's Theo Dorsey. We got Spec. We got Woodley coming up at 4 o'clock. So we'll talk some NHL goaltending as well. That and more on the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440. Connor Halley, Wanye Gretz, Declan Kruger, Donovan Paulson with you here. The show, as always, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
The summer road lays ahead. Your potential destinations are endless. Volvo Cars Edmonton gives you choice to match. Right now, lease a 2024 Volvo XC90 from 0% for qualifying loyal customers. Or save $7,000 on all new 2024 XC60 recharge plug-in hybrid models. All demo vehicles come with a free 10-year, 1 million kilometer warranty. No matter what you decide this summer will become, your first choice is Volvo Cars Edmonton. VolvoCarsEdmonton.com, 1205 101 Street Southwest.
Wow, get ready for a silly hockey fans. Your partner in power just skated onto the ice.
EWEL.ca, the new e-commerce website for electrical wholesalers Edmonton, is ready for the power play 24/7, 365.
UL skates to where the puck will be in 5 years. Now that's forward thinking.
Killer selection, slamming products from the best brands, and legendary service.
Don't sit on the bench. Get your account today at ewell.ca and win that project.
Plug into your partner in power. Get an EWEL.ca account today.
Employee pricing is on now at Chevrolet. Right now, get up to $10,500 off select Silverado 1500 High Country Crew Cab models. With an available 6.2-liter V8 engine and standard Chevrolet safety assist, including forward collision alert, getting out of the city and having a nice, quiet day on the beach is easier than ever this season. So relaxing. Ask your Chevrolet advisor for details.
Buying a vehicle at Sherwood Honda comes with 0% intimidation. Seriously, they want you to feel comfortable. So ask anything. There are no dumb questions. How does this car compare to that truck? Ask it. Could the payment be this much instead? Feel free to ask. At Sherwood Honda, you can ask anything without fear of judgment. Like, do you folks have a jingle? Okay, a few dumb questions. And if you have questions about car buying, it sure would make sense to ask Sherwood Honda.
Midnight Friday is the VIP prize deadline in the Stollery Children's Hospital Foundation Mighty Millions Lottery. Take charge of the open road with the Porsche Cayman VIP prize or choose $100,000 cash. Plus, be in to win the $2.5 million grand prize, Oilers season seats bonus prize, and so much more. Hurry, VIP deadline is Midnight Friday. Be mighty and support Stollery Kids. Buy now at MightyMillionsLottery.com.
Brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. Use promo code SUMMER and get a $50 casino free play with a minimum $5 deposit. Use your game sense. playalberta.ca, coming to you live from the eWell studios. You can text the eWell inbox, 1-833-401-1440. Score with your Power Play partners at eWell. Get all your electrical needs at ewell.ca with 24/7 ordering and shipping in Edmonton and across Alberta. Connor Halley, Wanye Gretz. We got Declan Kruger keeping us on track, and Donovan Paulson on the old YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. We're streaming everywhere. Oilers Nation and Sports 1440. And lots to get to still on the show. We'll talk some NFL, more Oilers, more NHL, and get Spec's take on a whole lot of things. Wanye, is there a void in the life right now with no Olympics? Or were you not as hooked as I was?
I was trying, Connor. I was trying my best. We were talking about this earlier in the podcast. I don't know if it was the Summer Olympics nature of it, or the fact that at the time it was in Paris and stuff like that. I don't know. I really enjoyed it early on, but as it went on, it kind of lost its mojo for me. I like the basketball for sure and the track.
Yeah.
Yeah. What were you into?
Oh, anything.
Everything.
Just put it on. Okay, I shouldn't say that. I don't love like equestrian.
Right.
Or whatever, like just the guy shooting guns.
Sure.
I love the meme.
Yeah.
Of the Turkish guy doing it, but I didn't watch it. So I probably not those ones, but overall.
Can you watch non-Canadians compete, or are you Canada only?
I can watch it all.
You can watch it all. You should be in sports.
That's my calling.
Yeah.
This is my passion.
Of course.
My profession is radio. My passion is sports.
Of course.
Text line, lots of text coming in here. I don't know if I got that quote out correctly. We have Propane Pimp saying Arnott was the 93 draft. Oh, and everything just went away from my computer. I closed the tab. Anywho, different drafts from Jason A and Jason B. But when they were in the system, it was Jason A and Jason B.
Yes, I remember. As I recall, he came to camp in his draft year, Jason Bonsignor, and they had Jason A and Jason B.
Jason Bonsignor, taken 4th overall. Now, you know who went a couple picks later to the Oilers? Smitty.
Yeah.
Great career. 1,200 career games. Jason Bonsignor, not quite as impressive. I mean, still made it to the NHL, so who's going to knock him? But 80 games, 16 points. Do you ever go back and look at, like, if we could do it again and just, like, potential redrafts?
Drafts are so hard to do down the road, though, right? Like, remember the Steve Kelly and Shane Doan year when everybody was chanting Doan, 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 and they picked Steve Kelly?
Yep.
No one knows, right? That's why scouting departments are so big and deep and try to gather as much data as they can. You just don't know.
And like I love to go back and say, what if Patrick Elias was the pick? But, you know, he was taken at the end of the 2nd round. I just love going back and like to Hockey DB and just finding old drafts. Milan Hajduk was a 4th round pick that year.
But then you got to wonder about the butterfly effect, Connor. And you got to wonder, what's it going to do to Connor McDavid? If Milan Hajduk or any of these guys being drafted affects one shift of Connor McDavid hockey with the Oilers, no thank you.
How about Steve Sullivan, Stumpy? 1,000 games?
What draft year?
Same year, 94. Wow. Thomas Holmstrom, drafted in the 10th round. We don't even have that anymore. 1,000 career games.
Now, what about talking about what ifs? What about the what ifs of guys we let go? Like Andrew Cogliano strikes me as a guy. Kirk Maltby strikes me as a guy who left, and we're like, well, that'll be the end of him. And then he got another however many years in him, and Cogliano too. Like Cogliano was a beast, and I can't even remember why we got rid of him.
I don't know for sure. I thought he wanted to play center. And
Couldn't we make him play center? We had all sorts of holes in the lineup.
And I thought he was like wanting to be top 6. Then he went to Anaheim and just like accepted his role in the bottom 6 and was unbelievable forever. Like just
Forever.
retired.
For absolutely ever. Do you think Sam Gagner will be back next year? He says he wants to play another year.
18 years. I don't think in Edmonton. They're too deep.
Well, yeah, I suppose that's true now.
It's good problems to have, but would you want to play in Bakersfield, or do you go to another team where they could use a vet like Sam Gagner who could, you know, kind of play throughout the lineup, and maybe in a pinch, you know, he's ready to go. If he has to sit out, he's okay with that. I don't know.
He seems just like such a good spirited dude. Like you look at ex-Oilers who've made homes for themselves in other teams, like Sean Horkoff in Detroit's a good example. To me, Sam Gagner is a guy you want to bring in at the end of his career. And I think there's some sort of plan to try to keep him with the organization. Don't let him go now.
No, we talked about it before he got here. Like if he wants to, I think he's got a future either behind the bench or in the front office. Like he's a hockey guy. His dad was, he is. Just seems like it kind of makes sense. We had a text in here from Morgan, just talking on the topic of maybe not stars, but players you loved. Matt Green.
Oh, He had and there's another guy we let go. I mean, obviously we did what we had to do, but he had a great career with the Kings after. Great career.
Yeah, won a couple cups. Big role player. Tyler says calling Andrew Cogliano a beast is a bit of a stretch.
My guy, do you know how many games in a row he played? What was his Ironman streak?
We have to look it up.
It is beast worthy. He played many games in a row. That's beastly.
Ending it on a suspension is lame too. Like that.
Is that what happened?
Yeah.
Oh.
Just want to maybe Donovan can give us the thumbs up. I know this is his thing, but pretty positive it ended on a suspension, which is stupid. Like if it's an injury, yeah, sure, or healthy scratch for sure, but
he's modern day Iron Man.
Playing the game the right way shouldn't cost you. Kessel, 1,064.
Yeah,
which I absolutely love because everyone's like, "Oh, look at this guy, loves hot dogs." Oh, he just played over 1,000 games in a row. No one else has ever done that.
You know who else loved hot dogs? Gretzky.
Everyone loves hot dogs.
That's true.
Keith Yandel was 989. Cogliano got up to 830, just behind Brent Burns, who's at 843.
Who said that it's wrong to call him a beast on the text line?
Tyler.
That's a lot of games, dude. Come on.
Morgan also says, but also, just because a team was good or great with one team doesn't mean they even get a sniff with another team, then end up in Europe. I mean, a lot of it is situational. It's where you end up and get opportunities. Some guys might not get a chance, and who knows? The Calgary Flames cut Mr. Martin St. Louis, did they not? Maybe it was a trade. I think they cut him. Either way, it's just getting that opportunity and falling into the right spot.
This is why having good scouts and having good coaches is worth tons of money to tons of teams, is that you can find these guys who are maybe underappreciated or misused in other markets and bring them in, and suddenly they spring back to life.
Oh, yeah. I mean, and it probably, like, just looking at the modern day version of the Oilers with that, and maybe it was obvious to a lot of people, but just take a look at, say, Zach Hyman. We knew he was a very good player. You know he's exactly what he wants, but did we know he'd be this good? There's a certain guy in Toronto says it's the worst contract in history.
Shout out to editor and leaf. Well done.
But, like, yeah, you got to do your research. I think that one might just be kind of like, it's a good player with Connor McDavid. It's going to work out, but I don't know. That's why those guys make their money.
If Zach Hyman signed anywhere but with Edmonton, I think he'd be one of the first guys to tell you. Like, he probably wouldn't have had, but he had 54 goals this year.
Yeah.
Outlandish. But he did sign in Edmonton. He had the foresight to do it. That's why, and it worked for both sides. Do you think that's the best UFA signing of the modern era for the Oil?
Yeah, I do. Unquestioned. I do think it's nice to see it because I have thought this for a long time, like almost since Connor McDavid was here. Man, players should sign in Edmonton for reduced rates just for the chance to play with him.
It's hard to play with Connor McDavid, though. It's not like, even in a league as skilled as the NHL, it's not like every single player in the league could slot in beside Connor and score 54 goals, right? Like, it's hard to play at that level. And for some players, it's probably not possible to play with Connor McDavid because he moves so fast and thinks the game so fast. But Zach Hyman's done a remarkable job of slotting in.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, in my son, like, I just think you should just want to. Like, you should have the belief in yourself that I can go there and do that. Obviously, Hyman did, kind of like Kunitz with Crosby. It worked so well. Kunitz was a fine player in Anaheim, but then he took that next step playing with Crosby. Got him an Olympic gold medal out of it.
If you're going to try to ice a Stanley Cup championship team in a salary cap era, you're going to have to find some value contracts, right? You're going to have to find guys who can come here and elevate their game, because if you bring everybody in at market rates, you're going to run out of money. Quick sticks.
Yeah, exactly. Propane P says, loved Bobo. Huge Mironov fan. Boris Mironov was great.
Unbelievable. Can I tell a story about Boris Mironov that involves us playing gambling games together? Is that legal on the radio?
You and Boris Mironov?
That's correct. Connor Halley, in this exact mall. One time, young Wanye was at the casino up the street there, and I saw Boris Mironov playing blackjack. And even though he was only playing $3 a hand, I was sitting 2 chairs over. Beast, I'll say it for the second time, he was just a hulking unit of a dude. Like, you saw, there's some Oilers or some athletes you see out in public and you immediately notice, like, Boris Mironov was a thick dude, and he was having the greatest time of his life playing $3 hands.
Heck of a shot.
Yeah.
And
his brother played too, Dimitri.
Oh, really? I mean, $3 hands, that's responsible.
Wow. This is 1998 or whatever it was too, right? So that's a modern day $9, but he was just having the time of his life. Yeah, Dimitri Mironov was also an NHL defenseman.
Yeah, interesting. Montana to Rice, Hyman is 1,000 times better than Kunitz.
Yeah.
1,000? I get what you're saying. He's a great player. I mean, what do you have? 54 goals playing with the majority of other centers in the league. I don't think so, but guy was just trending in the right direction when he signed here.
To have your signature move be standing on the right-hand side of the net, facing the point and just blocking shots and trying to deflect them into the net. Is he the modern day Smitty?
I think so. I think so.
Beloved scores.
It's, in my opinion, better in close, better hands, but not Smitty. He'll never be Smitty.
The other thing Zach Hyman does well is he forechecks so hard. The amount of opportunities that guy's created for himself on broken plays where someone dumps the puck in and he just goes in there and runs them over. It's remarkable.
You know what you're going to get from him. Night in, night out.
100% of his effort and a smile on the way out.
Yeah, and he'll drag the teammates into the battle with them. You see him do the stuff he does, it's like, okay, let's go.
But Zach Hyman's one of those guys that, like, his smile and the mask he puts on, you don't know what's going on behind those eyes, because I've seen him smiling and then just cross-check a guy into next Thursday and he's smiling again going off the ice.
That's hockey.
Just because he's smiling doesn't mean he's happy.
Very quickly, Brendan says McDavid can make anyone better. Cassian and Maroon are my examples. Northside Lou. Man, imagine if Mironov could have hit the net.
Oh, remember when he hit Jason Arnott in the head?
Remember that? Shot. Yeah, I do.
I was there that night. I can still hear the sound.
Oh.
It went like this.
Arnott had the Viper in the city.
He did?
Yeah.
Jason Arnott drove a Viper. Whoa.
Because I remember like going to a car dealership and they had like the model or whatever. And I think he sold it to George Larocque. Did Larocque tell us that story? Maybe someone can confirm that one. But yeah, it was an interesting story. I was going to say, though, I used to try to find his hockey card on the back of Kraft dinner boxes. I don't know if you remember when they would do that.
Yeah.
And like,
you could cut them out.
I swear kids would just scour the shelves looking for an Oiler. So you'd get there and it'd be like Eric Lindros and Matt Sundin or something. But yeah, I love Jason Arnott when he was in town.
I can remember as a kid getting hockey cards, and granted, everybody, this was before the internet, but I would just stare at the card. Like, I don't even know what I was looking at. I'd just be like, Jason Arnott. And I would just stare and be like, feathered bangs, wearing a gold chain.
Gold chain.
Him and Bonsinger both wore chains in their photos. And I was like, we're probably going to win the cup within 5 hours.
Entourage from Calgary says St. Louis was placed on waivers by Calgary. So, yeah, effectively cut. And one more here. Cannon Crush 65. There's a picture of Jason Arnott laying on the hood of the Viper. I believe he got it after his first paycheck. So we got to find that picture.
I'm checking the computers right now.
We'll take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk some NHL goaltending with Kevin Woodley from In Goal Magazine, Connor Halley, Wanye Gretz, Declan Kruger, and Donovan Paulson with you here. It's the Jason Gregor Show, brought to you by Play Alberta, coming to you live from the Ewell Studios. Right now, we'll get to an update with Declan, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. Hold no payments, no interest for 1 year on your AC unit. Stay cool all summer at legacyheating.ca.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
And for your Sports 1440 update, we start in the major leagues. 2 games kicking off the action in about 40 minutes time. Here are the Cubs and Guardians and Cardinals and Reds. Later on in the day, we'll see the Astros and Rays, Rangers and Red Sox, Royals and Twins, and of course the Toronto Blue Jays in action as they're in LA to take on the Angels. First pitch for that one, 7:38, and it's going to be Francis on the mound for the Jays. NHL news around the hockey world is Patrick Laine and his fiancée have launched a mental health initiative called From Us to You. The Devils have re-signed forward Nolan Foote on a 1-year, 2-way contract, and rumor mill swirling that unrestricted free agent Sam Gagner is eyeing a return to the NHL for his 18th season. News around the sporting world as the Boston Red Sox have suspended Jarren Duran for 2 games for using an anti-gay slur towards a fan in last night's action. The Riders will have quarterback Trevor Harris taking the starting reps as they clash with the Owls in Week 11 on Friday night. Hassan Reddick has requested a trade from the New York Jets that was rebuffed by the team's GM. And in the college football world, University of Georgia is number 1 in the AP preseason and coaches preseason rankings. Oregon and Ohio State rounding out the top 3. Other news around the NFL world as Malik Neighbors has an ankle injury, the Giants receiver, and the Browns do plan to play Deshaun Watson in the team's preseason finale. Edmonton Riverhawks in action as they take on the Bellingham Bells in West Coast League playoff action. That series currently tied at 1 game apiece, and first pitch will be 7:35 p.m. our time, going from Joe Martin Field. In hour 3 of the Jason Gregor Show with guest host Connor Halley, we will be joined by Kevin Woodley of In Goal Magazine, Theo Dorsey of ESPN West Palm Beach, and Ask 5 Questions. I'm Declan Kruger, and this has been a Sports 1440 update.
1440, Stingray Radio Station. CKJR. Broadcasts from West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin.
Download the free Stingray music app and listen wherever you go.
You don't work for GMC, but it's kind of like you do because you pay what we pay. GMC employee pricing is on now on all 2024 GMC Sierra half-tons and Hummers. Oh, but at Wolf GMC Buick, it's even better. Get GMC employee pricing on every in-stock 2024 GMC. If it's new and a 2024 and it has that beautiful GMC logo on it, then it's GMC employee priced. Pay what we pay, but only until August 26th. Get into Wolf GMC Buick now and see the over 200 GMCs in stock.
Rule number 37. Elk Island mosquitoes don't believe in personal space. Keep bug spray ready at all times. Summer in Alberta has its own set of rules. And if you're looking to add a little extra fun, Play Alberta has it all. Use promo code SUMMER to snag a $50 casino bonus for casino, instance, and live dealer with your next deposit. Get ready for promotions throughout the summer to help you make the most of those sunny Alberta days. Because we all know they don't last long enough. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Legacy Heating and Cooling is your supplier of maximum comfort, bringing you the cool AC you need. You just have to
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
for comfort at night when the hot air suffocates you.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
For comfort in your wallet with no payments or interest for 1 year.
Call Legacy. Call Legacy.
You deserve comfort. Cool off today with AC from Legacy Heating and Cooling.
Bacon or sausage and egg McMuffin? It's a delicious dilemma. But what if you didn't have to choose? The Mighty McMuffin is back with bacon and sausage. Mighty McMuffin, mighty impressive. For a limited time at participating McDonald's in Canada.
For over 65 years, Denham Ford has delivered the customer service and value that keeps Albertans moving. And nothing moves Albertans better than Canada's best-selling truck, the Ford F-150. Here now with rates as low as 0% or savings up to $17,000. That's the value you've come to expect from where cars always cost less. 0% or $17,000 off F-150s. Only at Denham Ford in Wetaskiwin or at denhamford.ca.
Sports 1440, Connor Halley, Wanye Gretz, Declan Kruger, Jonathan Paulson with you here. An army of men getting us through this 4 hours of radio here on Sports 1440. The show, as always, brought to you by Wilhock Beef Jerky. Right now, we're going to go around the NHL. Brought to you by McDonald's. Cool down at McDonald's with $1 cones or a $2 top sundae with hot fudge or caramel sauce. Get your cones and sundaes at McDonald's. We bring in Kevin Woodley of In Goal Magazine. Kevin, good afternoon. How are things going?
They're good. They're good. Coming to you from Ontario, Southern Ontario. And you know you're in deep in the goalie world when you drop a few lines to guys while you're here with some family things. And the next thing you know, it's like, hey, I'm halfway between you, but I've got to skate here. Why don't we? And so long story short, although I guess it's a little late for that, I'm in Stratford, of all places, watching Jet Grease of the Columbus Blue Jackets take part in a skate before connecting with him after. So it's the sort of kind of dog days, and yet still managing to find some content.
I was going to say, if you had given me like 500 guesses, I would never have guessed that's where you are and what you're doing. So what off season, right? You're going to keep him busy. Kevin, I want to ask you, because I saw Travis Yost had an article from TSN talking about the four nations face-off and the Canadian goaltending situation, and some questions surrounding it compared to some of the other nations. So I want to ask you, the Canadian goaltending right now, Stuart Skinner, we locally is probably a guy who get a lot of attention, but when you look at Canada going into this tournament, how is their situation between the pipes?
It trails behind several, and I haven't seen that article, but it would trail behind several other countries. That's just the reality, right? Like, I think you put the Americans and the Russians 1-2 on that list. Sweden's got a lot of options when you think of a recent Vezina Trophy winner in Allmark, and you think of Jacob Markstrom, who I could have argued up until the trade deadline this year should have been not just a finalist, but maybe leading that race. So, and that said, all it takes is the right guy on the right role behind the right team, and we won't be asking this question, right? Aiden Hill has a cup. Stuart Skinner got to a cup final. Like, there's options there. Jordan Binnington has outperformed his environment for several years in a row, and actually kind of would have been my leading candidate if he hadn't kind of faith planted at the World Championships, at least statistically, and with some of those games where they had big leads and blew them. I don't know how much of that was him. I'll be honest, I didn't watch a lot of it. So there's enough candidates for Canada to win it. There's enough candidates for them to win the next Olympics. And yet I think it's kind of hard to look around and not see a difference, especially with the expectations we have as a country and what that depth chart looks like compared to some of the other countries, especially, like I said, Russia, obviously, but the States. Like, look at what the Americans have done. And, this is probably a bigger picture discussion we could probably burn a whole segment or multiple with, but having been to the USA Hockey first ever National Goaltending Symposium this summer and seeing what they're doing that's led to this, and then comparing it with where we're at in Canada, and how far behind we are on some of the efforts that were talked about a decade ago, but sort of sputtered or started but never really got finished or exist in some half-assed format and were never completed. It's hard to kind of miss, the sort of direct line between what the Americans have done, are doing, and why we find ourselves in a situation where, again, it might not be a problem, but it's certainly not where it could or should be.
Kevin Woodley, Goal Magazine, joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Connor Halley, Wanye Gretz with you. Now, you talked about it kind of being like the dog days of summer. We're in the middle, probably a few weeks still before players start to head back to their cities and get ready for training camp. But what do you think the majority of NHL goalies are doing right now to get ready?
It's probably a mix of what I'm looking at right now, right? Like, so you've got these scrimmage skates, and I think, it's funny because normally, and we've spent some time up in Kelowna this summer. For the longest time when we were in Kelowna, it was like an all-star game, right? Like, it was like Shea Weber and Carey Price, and, you couldn't hit a 9-iron without running into an established NHL goalie. And believe me, I hit a lot of 9-irons in Kelowna over the summers. And so what those would look like will be quite often a structured series of drills that allowed everyone on the ice, and it's about the players too, to sort of skate through, not through the motions, but skate through what would be, your typical routine for a practice, for an NHL practice. The same type of drills that you and I have seen. You've seen at Oilers practice all these years. I've seen at Canucks practice for the past 2 decades. Like, it looks structured. And then there's a scrimmage game. And, that's a chance to sort of get the hands going and get the feet moving, get the vision going. For goalies, it can be a bit, much, especially if guys start trying to play tic-tac-toe and there's no structure, and you got to be careful. You can actually build bad habits in a scrimmage environment if that's all you do all summer, because as good as these guys are, when there is no back pressure, when there is so much time and space, and the way they can make the puck dance and pass the puck, if there's nobody applying pressure to them, you basically, and guys have told me this for years, you have to cheat to have a chance. And so you can either play it straight up and watch a bunch of goals go in, or you can cheat. And that's fine if you're doing it a couple days a week as part of other structured drills. But if that's all you're doing, those can become bad habits that are with you once sort of, training camp starts. So you have to find a balance. And that's where you see guys like, I'm watching Jet right now, and this is more of a peer scrimmage environment. There's some NHL and AHL shooters by the looks of it out here. So he's getting to see that elite level shot mixed in with some lower levels. But he's also wearing a Matt Smith goaltending jersey, which happens to be his private off-season goalie coach. And so I can guarantee he spent time with him doing more of the drills and the work that we would see when it's just a goalie and a goalie coach out at the start of an NHL practice, right? That's where, Devin Levi, for example, calls it his programming. There's his programming and there's his play. And so you've got to make sure you get in a little bit of both in the off season. And so I would imagine right now, as we ramp up, there's probably a little more of this scrimmage work, but there's still a lot of gym work and a lot of that programming work with private goalie coaches. And where it gets interesting is when we get into the next couple of weeks, where, as you said, guys come back to their cities, or for the guys that are there all the time, you get the captain skates environments. Now, how do we mix in the NHL goalie coach into that mix?
Kevin Woodley in Goal Magazine join us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Now, Kevin, have there been some shifts with the NHL and the NHLPA since last summer that might affect what teams can do with their goalies and coaches?
Well, that's kind of when you get into the summer skates, right? And, for years, there was kind of two levels. There were some teams that played it strictly by the rules, and they weren't allowed to be the NHL goalie coach wasn't allowed to be on the ice with the NHL goalie up until a certain point, up until training camp started. And those seemed to get relaxed. And then in the last couple of years, they're allowed to, but only to a point. And so there can only be so many coaches on the ice. And so you have to designate which ones, is my understanding. And then each goalie has to sign off on basically permission for this guy to be out there, that he's agreed that this is part of what he wants to do at this point in his off season, as opposed to the team saying you have to be working with our guy. And so, like, I know, for example, here in Vancouver, Ian Clark, who is the NHL goalie coach, quite often he'll in the last couple of years, he can't be on the ice because they've designated the American League goalie coach to be the guy that's on the ice with them, just because he wants to limit reps. Getting a little older, the knees, the shoulders, save that for the season, but he'll be watching the whole time. And he can be down at the bench talking to them from the bench and going over things, but he can't be on the ice. And so it was designed, I think, to sort of loosen or formalize what was happening anyways. And I think for the most part it works, but it's certainly not perfect. For the longest time, there would be teams that would be, the goalie coach would be on the ice. It would be on their, it'd be on their team website, these videos of these sessions. And yet other teams would be sending me notes saying, we're not allowed to do that. How come they are? So formalizing it has sort of evened the playing field. And yet, it's not perfect. I'm not going to name names because I don't want to get anyone in trouble. But I know, for example, right now, there are some NHL goalie personnel that have flown to other cities to get ice time with their goalies, or with guys that are about to become their goalies, maybe free agent signings, while they're on the ice with their private goalie coaches, or while they're on the ice as part of skates like the one I'm looking at right now. Because obviously these are underway all over North America. There's one in Florida, for example, that I know the Russians like to go to Miami in the off season, and then they all skate at the Panthers complex. And that was a spot where, for years, goalies would end up on the ice with the Florida Panthers goalie coach. And so it really is a little bit of wild, wild west, or it has been a wild, wild west for the longest time. And the effort to formalize it, I think, is probably a good thing, but it's far from a perfect system at this point.
Last one for you, Kevin. I know we saw that Stuart Skinner made a switch with his agency. When you see that from a guy who's under contract, what are you looking at, and maybe a reasoning for why it might have happened?
Yeah, that's an interesting one, and I haven't had a chance to talk to him about, specifics. What makes that one interesting is he's coming from a really big name in JP Barry, and that's, we've seen the agent he switched to, Ray Petkow and Alpha, is they've really built the niche as a goaltending agency. Obviously, Connor Halley is at the top of that list, and you see Connor Halley accept his Vezina trophy or get called up to the stage with his Vezina. He stops and one of the second or third guy that he gives the hug to on his way up is his agent, because he's been a big part of his career, not just from a hey, sign contracts and here's your deal thing. But his partnership with Adam Francilia, the trainer that Stuart Skinner now works with in Kelowna, that we've spent a lot of time with over the summers, the camp they used to run every summer to bring in other resources. I think a lot of times with bigger agencies, and I don't mean this specifically JP Barry, because I haven't seen that or heard that, but I do know with a lot of the bigger agencies, when a goalie gets invited to camps, they quite often find themselves being a target. In other words, it's an agency camp. There's a whole bunch of shooters out there, and they're just the guy in the net stopping pucks. They don't get any specialized attention. With Ray and with Alpha, it's almost always all about goaltenders. He has some player clients, but for the most part, it's goalies. And so when you go to a camp with them in the summer, they've brought in a ton of resources to help you get better as a goaltender, whether it's Francilia, whether it's coaches that have different specialties. I remember one summer being there and there was a vision specialist that sort of helped them work on convergence and divergence. And for a lot of these guys, it was the first time they'd done it. And that kind of surprised me. But that's the reality. A lot of stuff that, from my perspective, having sort of been around this position and learned a lot of the, the sort of stones that need to be turned over to make sure you're checking every box as a goalie. It amazes me how many can get into the draft and signed and not be exposed to it. And what I think Ray and Alpha has done a really good job of is making sure they've left no stone unturned in terms of providing resources for their goaltenders. And so after Stuart switches to Adam Francilia as his trainer, it doesn't surprise me as much to see him switch agencies. He's not the first to do both. So it really, really dials in the goalie specific stuff. And again, not at all a criticism of JP Barry. I've never been to any of their camps in the summer, but I do know from a lot of other goalies that when they have those at the big agencies, it can feel a little bit like you're just there to be a target as a goaltender, as opposed to being the primary focus.
Interesting. Thanks for all that, Kevin. Really appreciate you doing this today. Have fun the rest of your summer. Where will you be next week? Are you going to be home? Are you going to be maybe somewhere out in Quebec? Where will you be?
I believe I have an early flight home next Monday from, we'll be in the Peterborough area and then coming home through Toronto, but back in beautiful British Columbia in time to talk to you next Monday.
Excellent. Well, we'll talk to you then. Enjoy your time out there and we'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, Connor. Really appreciate it. All the best.
Thank you. That's Kevin Willey, In Goal Magazine and NHL.com. Joins us every Monday here on the Jason Gregor Show. Stuart Skinner last season, .901 save percentage, a .245 goals against average. That was in the playoffs. My apologies. .905 in the regular season with a .262 GAA, 59 games. Had a record of 36, 16, and 5. So, Stuart Skinner, how high is the ceiling?
It's so hard with the goalies, Connor, right? Like, remember last year, wasn't he at some point like the worst goalie in playoff history since the puck was round? Like, wasn't there? And yet he's also
there was a lot of
the All-Star game.
I mean, he was benched. They went with Calvin Pickard. So
I think the reality is he will have a very good NHL career. I don't think that anything less than that would be acceptable. Like, I don't think he's going to burn out. Do you?
No, I don't think so. And like we talked about it a lot, like even when he was struggling, there was just so much reason to believe that he'd bounce back just because of how strong he was mentally. And
his attitude's phenomenal in interviews.
Yeah.
Plus that mustache.
Far beyond his years. He'll be 26 in November.
Unbelievable.
He's got a lot of hockey ahead of him and still under contract. So the agency thing is interesting. A good insight from Kevin Woodley right there.
Hey there, Greg.
We will take a break because when we come out next, we're going to head down to South Beach, talk a little Miami Dolphins. Theo Dorsey of ESPN will join us, talk some football. That's coming up next. It's the Jason Gregor Show. Connor Halley, Wanye Gretz, Declan Kruger, and Donovan Paulson with you. Show brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
The summer road lays ahead. Your potential destinations are endless. Volvo Cars Edmonton gives you choice to match. Right now, lease a 2024 Volvo XC90 from 0% for qualifying loyal customers, or save $7,000 on all new 2024 XC60 recharge plug-in hybrid models. All demo
a little later on
vehicles
in the
come
day,
with a
we'll
free
see the Astros
10-year,
and
1
Rays.
million kilometer warranty. No matter
Edmonton
what you
River
decide
Hawks.
this summer will become.
Well, welcome back to the Jason Gregor.
Volvo Cars Edmonton. VolvoCarsEdmonton.com. 1205 101
We'll take
Street Southwest.
You got
the
it.
summer
Go to a coffee spot, a trusted barber, even a lucky game day jersey. But when it's about looking your absolute best, there's only one name you need: Mr. Dirk. Family run since 1939, we're experts in crafting impeccable tailor-made suits and offering a wide variety of everyday styles. Pair that with personalized one-on-one fittings and the convenience of on-site tailoring. Mr. Dirk elevates your style game. Visit our Edmonton store or explore MrDirk.com. Score big on style with Mr. Dirk.
Silent Rides is one of Alberta's premier bus charter companies with state-of-the-art motor coaches. We provide our customers with the safest and most reliable ground transportation. Our seatbelt-equipped buses have become the preferred carrier for many local sports teams, tours, corporate outings, and other various travel across Western Canada. For more information and to request a quote, contact Ted Nakamura at 780-940-0880 or visit silentrides.ca.
Get a great night's sleep during the final weekend of the Brick Summer Sleep event. Take up to 50% off mattresses and up to $1,200 off sleeper sectionals. And buy more, save more. Up to 25% off bedroom and dining furniture. Plus, shop amazing deals in other departments, like up to 20% off outdoor furniture and 25% off home entertainment furniture and fireplace. You won't want to sleep through these fantastic prices. Some exclusions apply. See in-store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
In 1973, deep in the basement of an Edmonton family home, an elite team of specialized forces came together to form Action Electrical.
Action Electrical Divisions, assemble.
Projects team reporting.
Service team reporting.
Testing team reporting.
Energy team reporting.
Supercharged with skills in their electrical fields and grounded by strong family values. Facing an electrical menace? Call on the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Here's Dr. Vance Elliott to talk about Advanced Hair and Skin Surgery's new website.
We needed to spruce things up a bit and give it a modern look.
Sounds like your website needed a little surgery.
Exactly. It's easier to navigate, much more user-friendly, has an updated patient gallery, and answers to the most commonly asked questions.
There's even a section about you.
I want you to know my story, so you'll be confident that I'm the right doctor to help shape your story.
To learn more, check out the new website at drvanceelliott.com.
Employee pricing is on now at GMC. Right now, get up to $11,300 off select Sierra 1500 Denali Ultimate Crew Cab models. With employee pricing, combined with Sierra's 6.2-liter V8 gas engine, 13.4-inch diagonal premium infotainment system with available Google built-in, plus available Super Cruise hands-free driver assistance tech, there's more reasons than ever to celebrate this summer. Hit it! Oh yeah! Ask your GMC advisor for details.
Connor Halley, Wanye Gretz, Declan Kruger, Donovan Paulson with you here. The show brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. NFL season's coming. Lots of fun to be had, but make sure you use your game sense. And we're going to continue our look around the NFL's preseason. Head down to Miami with the NFL Report, brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling, where their rates never change. Need service late at night or on the weekends, not overtime charges. That's how you build a legacy at legacyheating.ca. Very welcome here to be joined on the show by Theo Dorsey, covers the Miami Dolphins with ESPN on West Palm Beach. Theo, good afternoon. How are you doing today?
I am pretty well, man. Doing a lot better than Joe Douglas and the Jets
front office. I can say that much.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. The AFC East, the Jets. Something always going on there. How do you bring in a guy, give up a conditional third-round pick for him and then not have the discussion with the contract made up beforehand?
Yeah, it's funny. We had our show. And first off, thanks for having me, man. We had our show today, theoretically speaking. We talked to Mike Tannenbaum, who used to be Jets GM, about that decision. And he thinks it's one of those things where it was like a miscommunication or a misunderstanding. Either way, it does feel like in the AFC East, and I know we're going to talk a lot of Dolphins right here. The Bills got worse on paper. The Dolphins didn't necessarily get better on paper. The Jets improved their roster, but it also feels like simultaneously they've also somehow became even more of a distraction, somehow have even improved on the negatives and all of the things that detract from winning. So it's a hot mess out there in the Meadowlands. Glad that the Dolphins at least keeping everybody happy. Tua got the extension. Tyreek got his deal reworked. Jalen Waddle gets the extension. Nothing but smiles in South Florida these days, man.
Absolutely. I saw Jalen Phillips taken off the PUP list today, so that's good news.
Yeah.
We'll get to that, but how about we start off with Tua Tagovailoa? The key to that offense, and he's got Ferraris all around him. Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Raheem Mostert, Odell Beckham comes in. I'm excited to see what he can do. Devon Achane. There's so many weapons. Then Jalen Wright in the draft. For Tua Tagovailoa, what steps have you seen him move forward in when it comes to this offense, and what can we expect through the passing game this year? Because last year it was dynamic.
Yeah, and what you can expect, more dynamic, right? Even better as you get into year 3 now with Tua, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle. You got OBJ out there, Willie Snead, a sneaky veteran pickup in that receiver room. But one thing I've been angling this whole offseason is all the eyes are going to be on the passing game, rightfully so. You mentioned it. I remember where I was sitting when I saw that the Miami Dolphins drafted Jalen Wright out of Tennessee. They've already got Raheem Mostert. They've got Devon Achane. I think the actual highlight of this year, when we reflect on what the Dolphins did in 17 games, is going to be the fact that they have a good shot at having the first teammates to rush for 1,000 yards as running backs since 2009, the Carolina Panthers, smash and dash, D'Angelo Stewart, or Jonathan Stewart and D'Angelo Williams. Between Devon Achane, Raheem Mostert, and maybe a sneaky pick, and Jalen Wright, if an injury happens, that running game is going to be amazing. And Mike McDaniel doesn't get enough credit nationally for what he schemes up on that side versus all of the shifty motion and the big explosive plays.
And you got Jeff Wilson there as well. The depth at running back for the Miami Dolphins is absolutely ridiculous. And some of the names you list there at the receiver, you could probably say it might be just as good. Now, I know last season, we saw some fantastic games. Week 1 matchup against the Chargers was some of the most competitive, fun football we saw. The game against the Denver Broncos where they put up 70, almost unheard of. You get to the playoffs, though, and then it changes, right? Kansas City wins 26-7, different conditions in Kansas City, of course. What do you think the Dolphins have done this offseason or need to do to make sure, all that offseason or the regular season success translates into win in the playoffs?
I'm going to tell you like this. They need to have an exit plan, right? My wife and I, we got married in February. We schemed up the perfect wedding. It was beautiful. It was at the Miami Beach Botanical Gardens. Family, loved ones all around. The reception was amazing. The party was great. And the one thing we failed to realize was once we got done dancing and drinking and all of that good stuff was, we didn't plot out how we were going to get from the ceremony to the hotel and get all of our stuff out of there. The exit plan wasn't there. And for the past couple of years with the Dolphins, the regular season, the start of it, even all throughout, has looked great. Tua led the league in passing last year. The run game was working. It was prolific. But come December, that's kind of when the Dolphins season actually will really start, because that's when we're going to see if anything has changed from the last 2 years. Can they play through the cold? Can they win against playoff teams? Again, 1-5 last year against playoff squads. And I do think that the main thing that this team has done differently than last year is they're embracing that 24-year drought where they have not won a playoff game, with Mike McDaniel talking about it over and over again. They have a chip on their shoulder. They have a lot of guys that are thirsty to prove that they don't need some major change at quarterback. They don't need some kind of roster overhaul, and they definitely don't feel like they need a new head coach. they're all taking it upon themselves to change the narrative about that team. But, I mean, I want to keep it real with you. I don't necessarily see it happening. Like, I'm glad that the confidence is there. I think even the most optimistic of Dolphins fans, you find it hard to see them actually winning a playoff game this year, just based off of not just the Dolphins not necessarily improving as much this offseason, but more so how tough the AFC is. Like, it's hard to see a scenario in which, unless they get like the 1 seed and get an easier slate in the front end, I don't see a scenario in which they can snap this streak. Like, but it's good to see them trying, right? It's good to see them hustling together and feeling like they have a lot to prove.
Well, congratulations on your wedding. That first things first. And yeah, I mean, that's it. If you have to go through a Baltimore or a Kansas City where the weather's going to be a little bit colder, like it certainly is going to be tough. So if Miami could lock up that number 1 seed, obviously that's going to go a long way. You touched on Mike McDaniel there. Have you seen any growth in McDaniel as a head coach? Like, I mean, he's one of the coolest guys. If I was a player, I wouldn't mind him being my head coach. But as a football coach for the entirety of the team, not just the offense, but the defensive side of the ball as well, have you seen any growth in him?
Mickey D, man, like ever the optimist, so great at pouring confidence into his guys. And I think the one piece of growth I would say is left to be seen, and that we would like to see this year, is performing against, playoff teams. I can't necessarily call it right now, right? Like, they can come out of the gates firing 40 points a game and whatnot. Like, it can look good. I don't think we'll be able to actually assess if he's had any growth until we see what he's able to do with the squad on the latter end of the year. So I'd be lying to you if I said anything felt different. Again, I think the one thing that does is, again, the call out of there. Like, they're not hiding or cowering from what the narrative is going to be about the Dolphins all year. They know that they can go out and set the record, right? They can score 80 points and nobody's going to blink an eye. They know what they have to go and do at the end of the year. And maybe him more so embracing that fully and putting it out there and getting out ahead of it is the biggest change. Outside of that, he's going to be a masterful play caller. He's going to find ways to scheme guys open, and he's going to continue to pour confidence into Tua. So it's hard. Again, like, I don't want to be facetious. I don't want to lie to you. Like, there's no way to judge it until you get to those the real nut crunch of time.
Absolutely. Theo Dorsey, the ESPN, joining us here on the Jason Gregor Show, talking Miami Dolphins. Now, you look at the defensive side of the ball, Calais Campbell. I mean, he's older, but he can play still. Like we said, Jalen Phillips coming off the PUP list. You bring in Jordan Brooks from Seattle. I like that secondary too. Javon Holland, good Canadian kid. We got to root for him up here. Jalen Ramsey, I think he's still got some good ball left. When you look at this Dolphins defense and, going up against Josh Allen twice a year, Aaron Rodgers twice a year, and then all the other tough quarterbacks you're going to see in the AFC, how do you think they hold up this season?
Again, that's another one that's hard to tell until we see it in action. But what I would say is the beautiful thing for the Dolphins is you look at Buffalo, who, again, you said you're going to have to face twice a year. They don't have a number one threat, a guy on the outside that you're scared about. Like, Keon Coleman's a rookie. Dalton Kincaid is likely going to be a top target getter for Josh Allen. But again, Josh Allen, one of the more erratic quarterbacks in the NFL, he'll give you some opportunities for interceptions. Jalen Ramsey licking his chops, thinking about playing him twice a year now that he's gotten more tape and experience with it. And again, the Patriots, you get those guys twice a year. You can pad some of those stats. And nothing out of what we've seen from the Jets so far, like, until they prove it on the field, like, that offensive line, a little shaky, right? Like, a little old. Aaron Rodgers, he's coming off the Achilles injury. Like, there's not a lot of huge threats in the division that makes you nervous. What I will say is they're going to need Jalen Phillips, right? Like, they're going to need him off the edge, especially given the fact that they lost so many names. You brought in a guy like Poyer. You brought up Ramsey being in year 2 with the Dolphins, having a lot more of a ramp up. But they're going to need more effort out of some of these edge rusher guys. And you lose Christian Wilkins as well. And I think that's been something that hasn't been, talked about enough. He was huge, and he's really been the energy and almost like the fulcrum of that defensive attack. Losing a guy like that, I know it was a major contract, so they couldn't afford it and still pay the offense. They're going to feel some of the remnants of that, especially if Phillips takes a while to kind of get back into form, which, again, last year, he looked like he was on set for a Pro Bowl year before he popped his Achilles against the Jets in the Meadowlands.
Yeah, I'll confess I'm a Chargers fan, and week 1 I was like, man, this guy could be a problem. You got a chance to see him every once in a while. Man, I didn't even bring up a few of the players that the Dolphins also brought in the offseason. Safety from Buffalo, Jordan Poyer, another good addition there.
Yeah.
So, and then Chop Robinson, the first round pick. So, I'm really looking forward to watching not only the Dolphins, but all of these AFC East matchups, maybe except the Patriots. I think we're going to get some great ball. So, really appreciate you joining us here on the show today. Hey, Dolphins fans, I'm sure like everyone else, we're happy to see the Patriots kind of in this downfall, aren't we?
Oh yeah, it's about time. And hey, can I say one thing before I go?
Yeah.
I'm thinking about the Dolphins, right? They're a super fast team, known for their speed, their track speed, and I do have a gripe that I get to finally air out since I'm now on a Canadian station. It's my first time talking in Canada, by the way. I will never forgive y'all for stealing the 4x1 from us this year. All right, congratulations to all of Canada, but I could not believe my eyes. I never thought I would see that in my lifetime. Canada winning the 4x1 in the men's race in Paris. So congratulations to y'all, but I have a gripe. I have a strong gripe with y'all over that. That was our event. And I will say this too. South Florida has the Stanley Cup right now. That almost makes up for it.
Ooh. You're talking in Edmonton radio. I got to take you back to 1996 in Atlanta. I think we got the 4x100 as well with Donovan Bailey and Bruno Surin, but I got to check that. My co-host did have a question for you, Wanye Gretz, big Oilers fan, but Noah Lyles versus Tyreek Hill. Who wins?
You know what? I obviously Noah Lyles would win if we're being serious, right? But Tyreek Hill is a dude who he makes you feel so confident about anything he can do. The way he professes and the bravado he has, like he's a natural trash talker. Where I think Noah Lyles is more of a fraud. He's more of a phony. He's trying to play up to be this character who is braggadocious and whatnot. So give me Tyreek Hill in that race, because at least he has the real self-confidence, whereas Noah Lyles is over here throwing out excuses. He's over here, coming up with reasons why he lost certain races. I'm not going to go out and accuse him as hard as Tyreek Hill did, but give me the guy that actually believes in himself over the guy who, barely won the 100, loses the 200, quote unquote positive for COVID, and then 2 days later he's negative for COVID and he's partying in the club. I'll take Tyreek Hill over that guy.
Well, we appreciate this. We've got texts coming in say we would gladly trade you that 4x100 for the Stanley Cup. So you struck a chord there, Theo. Thanks for doing this today.
Thank you. Enjoy yourself, man. And I'd love to come back when the Dolphins are halfway through the season and they're 8-0 and they're on fire. I'd love to come back and give that update on them as well, man. Appreciate you having me.
Thanks for doing this, Theo. There you go. Theo Dorsey, ESPN, down in West Palm Beach, covering the Miami Dolphins. Unprovoked attack on the Stanley Cup there. We're just getting over that.
I wonder what percentage of Edmontonians would trade the 4x100 for the Stanley Cup. It's probably 99.6% of people.
I'd say most. I would say most. I was going to talk a little trash about handing the baton off. I mean, it's a pretty simple thing. Tougher than it looks, but practice it. You'll get there.
That would be a hell of a foot race, though, to watch. Remember when they made Gretzky? Well, but Gretzky raced Pele at Commonwealth? We see that all the time, the clip of that on social.
There was a few other stars in that, too, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Bo Jackson or something?
No, not Bo Jackson. Couldn't be. Bo Jackson would have dusted everybody. But yeah, a Tyreek Hill foot race would be an interesting thing.
You put in Wayne Gretzky race, and the Indianapolis Racers come up.
Yeah. Fair enough.
But I thought it was probably not Bo. Okay, Sugar Ray Leonard and Bjorn Borg.
There. Imagine Bo Jackson in that race, Connor. He'd have blown the door.
Some Bo Jackson fans were like, what? What are you talking about?
Bjorn Borg. That's an odd. Well, he's a famous tennis player, right?
Yeah, that's it. John St. Albert says, what's the latest on Trey Ford? Nothing. We got nothing for you. I would expect, this is football. They'll keep it pretty quiet as long as they can. My non-professional guess, someone with the ribs. We'll see if he can play through it. Justin Herbert had a cracked cartilage in his rib cage, played through it. I think he was heavily medicated. It would hurt. It'd be tough to do, especially for a mobile quarterback. You don't want to take hits. You have to slide for sure. Chomsker says it's injuries to the defensive side that kills the Dolphins. Yeah, I think Chubb had an injury last year and Jalen Ramsey, not ideal. What is ideal is 5 questions coming up next with Declan Kruger, brought to you by The Brick. We'll get to that next. But that was the NFL report brought to you by Legacy Heating and Cooling. Check them out at legacyheating.ca. 1-833-401-1440. That is the UL inbox. Send us your texts, your thoughts. Evander Kane, will he start next season? Will he be in the LTIR? The Miami Dolphins, will they win the division? Anything else? Trey Ford questions? Whatever you guys want to talk about, let's get to it. Send those texts in. 1-833-401-1440. Up next, it's another edition of 5 Questions of the Jason Gregor Show, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
You turn on the tap and water comes out. You press the handle and flush the toilet. Living in our modern world, we sometimes take for granted or don't even think about all of the services and conveniences that are around us every day. But GS Construction does. Right under your feet, there's a whole network of underground infrastructure that needs to be built and maintained in order to have these basic services. GS Construction has been laying the groundwork for your community for 50 years. Find out more by going to gsconstruction.ca.
Mr. Rooter builds a portfolio.
Now, Mr. Rooter, I suggest we invest heavily in the S&P.
What's that? Sewers and plumbing? I agree.
No, actually...
And what do you think of precious metals?
Yes, gold is a very...
Don't buy copper. You see, copper pipes have widely been replaced by polyethylene.
Sure. Also, Bitcoin...
Bitcoin? I snick enough of those out of toilets on my own, thank you very much.
For a plumber with good dividends, call Mr. Rooter.
The cheesy burger pizza is back at Papa John's.
See what happens when you ask for it?
Boom! Finally, it's on the menu again for a limited time. Get all the items in the cheesy burger trio or choose between the large cheesy burger pizza for $18.99, cheesy burger papadilla for $9.99, and bacon cheesy burger papa bites for $8.99. All made with sizzling beef, dilly pickles, ooey gooey cheese, and burger sauce. That's right, burger sauce. Get it before it's gone. Better ingredients, better pizza. Better get you some cheesy burger pizza at Papa John's.
Hey, Leduc, can leading edge physiotherapy help you? Well, this is a question I face every day. Let me answer the best I can. Do you have a pain or injury to your toe, foot, ankle, knee, hip, lower back, middle back, neck, shoulder, elbow, wrist, hand, or finger? Are you dealing with a sprain, strain, fracture, tendonitis, bursitis, arthritis, dizziness, balance issues, surgery, whiplash, or headache? Okay, I can't list all the problems that we can help in leading edge physio in under 30 seconds, and I can't promise we fix everyone. But I can promise that we'll combine our experience, skills, technology, and hands-on care to give you an edge. Life shouldn't hurt. Find us at leadingedgephysio.com.
Rule number 62, never miss a free pancake breakfast. It's unheard of and frankly a little upsetting. Summer in Alberta has its own set of rules. And if you're looking to add a little extra fun, Play Alberta has it all. Use promo code SUMMER to snag a $50 casino bonus for casino, instance, and live dealer with your next deposit. Get ready for promotions throughout the summer to help you make the most of those sunny Alberta days. Because we all know they don't last long enough. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
Move Water is your one-stop shop for all things water. From freshwater to wastewater, we've got the pumps and solutions to keep your water moving where it matters most.
Move Water, your water solution experts.
Visit movewater.ca today.
I'm Rick Showers from No Bull RV. Anything that's exposed to the elements or has moving parts needs regular maintenance. And when you consider an RV, well, it falls into both categories. Lots of moving parts and sitting out all the time, which is why we hire the best RV technicians in Alberta to come work here at our new, bigger store in Leduc.
Noble has giant indoor service space that can hold the biggest RVs in the world.
That's right, Bob. The vast majority of our indoor space at Noble is dedicated to service and repair. You spend the summer in the great outdoors, and we spend the winter doing scheduled maintenance, so you're ready to go next season.
Sounds like a year-round thing, Rick.
That's it exactly, Bob. Our techs are the most highly experienced men and women in the business. We're solving problems and creating solutions every day. Whatever your used RV needs, our service team has seen it before and knows exactly what to do.
And that's No Bull.
NoBullRV.ca.
1440. Connor Halley, Wanye Gretz, Declan Kruger, Donovan Paulson with you. Declan, how long have you been wanting to get the Goo Goo Dolls in on this show today?
Not a big fan, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah, never. I mean, that's obviously like their only song worth playing. It's good, I guess, but not really yearning for it.
You once told me your favorite band was Matchbox 20.
That's true.
And I thought you'd be a Goo Goo Dolls fan. So my bad. I was just
presuming. No, listen, yeah, I get where you're coming from, but no, never been big on them.
Connor has no idea about the beef between Goo Goo Dolls and Matchbox 20 fans.
Rob Thomas was
it's Bloods and Crips stuff. Connor.
Rob Thomas was originally the lead singer of the Goo Goo Dolls, and he went to Matchbox 20.
Well, I mean, Matchbox 20 is superior, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I made that Rob Thomas thing up.
I was gonna say,
that would have been so cool.
Yeah,
So
no, I made that up.
I stand by what I said. So what's the beef?
I'm just making it up. I don't know why Declan would play Goo Goo Dolls.
Dance today,
then,
Connor.
Then
Why?
diss the Goo Goo Dolls.
Why am I just believing everything? It's one of those things like, why would you make it up? But you both made up lies, and I bought in.
Why somebody would play the Goo Goo and then diss the Goo Goo, I would never know.
It's pretty recognizable. I wanted to play something that everyone would know.
Play some Ice Spice.
I play Ice Spice on here every now and then.
Which one?
Boy's a Liar?
Oh, play a little Princess Diana. That'd get me in the mood to talk about Tua. Connor, the fact that you can just rattle off the quarterback in Miami's name that, I mean, I know Sergei Krivokrasov, I can say that, but this isn't my player. This isn't my team.
Can you try to say it?
Tua
Tagovailoa.
Tagovailoa?
Yeah.
Wow, but I can't just say it any old time I want.
What about Giannis?
Giannis?
The Greek freak.
Oh, I don't know.
Declan, is it Antetokounmpo?
Antetokounmpo.
The one that got me was Solomon Elimimimian.
That one still gets
Who's that?
Former linebacker for the BC Lions.
CFL MOP 2011.
The night he won MOP, I had to do my sports updates. And I butchered it every single time.
MOP?
Most outstanding player.
Of course.
Not Detroit. BC Lions linebacker Solomon Elimimimian won the league's MOP tonight. Like, I would just butcher it consistently in my updates, but there's always one.
I remember when the Oilers drafted Puljujärvi saying to Gregor, do I need to learn this? He's like, you need to learn this. This guy's going to play in the league.
Oh.
Hobby Bullen was the same thing. Do I have to learn how to type this out? Yeah.
Andreas Athanasiou.
Yep.
Was another one that I think a lot of us had struggles with, but you eventually just get so used to it, you roll right in.
I have a theory that just by seeing their names, I can tell you in a draft year, any sport, if a player is going to be good or bad, just based on their name. And the only failure of this was Rico Fata. I thought Rico Fata had the coolest name, and Pavel Brendel. I'm like, Pavel Brendel, the new Pavel Bure. Wrong.
I mean, there is something to it. You got a good name, you're destined.
You're going to go somewhere.
Being Champ Bailey.
You're going to win.
I know that was his nickname, but still. Anywho.
Gizmo Williams.
The Giz.
The Giz. Of course he's going to do a flip.
He has to. It's his name. Okay, let's get to 5 questions. Brought to you by The Brick. Are you tired of navigating a small space or dorm room? Check out The Brick's small kitchen appliances, organizers, and compact desks and office chairs to make the most of your space. It's The Brick.
It's time for 5 questions on the Jason Gregor Show.
All right, fellas. Question number 1. Canada was 12th in Olympic golds with 9 and 11th with total medals. In total medals with 27, sorry. As a country who sent 315 athletes and has, the money to put in sports that we do as a nation, do you think we underachieved?
I don't think so. I went back and looked at the total medal counts for Canada at the games, and it was the second highest they've ever had in Los Angeles. They did win 44, 10 golds.
Boycotted games, yeah.
Boycotted games, and they sent almost 100 more athletes. A little less, but almost 100. So, you know what? I think you got to compare it, not with the numbers and the money. You got to look at results. So even if you're to take away the 84 games and, the protested ones, they finished with 27. That's not too shabby. Would love for it to be higher. Would love for it to be more competitive. But geez, man, we're in snow half the year. These summer games are tough for us. So I think Canada did very good. Proud of all of them.
I agree with you, Connor. I think they did a good job in winning high-profile events. I mean, we just heard a man from Miami who's forgetting about the Stanley Cup and is mad that we won the 4x100. Do your wins inspire jealousy in your enemies? If the answer is yes, you must be doing something right.
Question number 2. Given Evander Kane's LTIR status and the rumors surrounding it, if he was to be placed on LTIR, how will the Oilers maximize the cap space?
Well, we talked about this a little bit earlier, but I think you sign Broberg. And then who else?
Holloway.
Yeah. Is that it?
That's for RFAs, yeah.
Yeah.
I think you got to be cautious with it because you have that money, just over $5 million to start the year off, but Evander Kane's going to come back. And then you have to make a move of some sorts. Would it be Cody Ceci? Maybe by then you've seen enough out of Philip Broberg and you're confident with what they have on the back end. But I don't know if I'm going too crazy with it. If it's the end of the year and we're heading into the playoffs and I can just spend that money, I'm all about it. But at the start of the year, I think I'm cautious and I try to do what I can to make sure I don't have to make too many moves when he returns.
Plus, you're not factoring in anything. God forbid anything should happen and we have an injury we need to plug or something like that too, right? So you got to have a bit of a buffer.
Yeah. Yeah. Bad answer. We're not being crazy. We're being responsible on this one.
Question number 3, another one you guys talked about a little bit. There are rumors Sam Gagner wants to return to the NHL for an 18th season. Would you like to see it? If you would like to see it, would you only like to see it in Edmonton, or do you think respectfully it's time to call it a day?
I kind of touched on it earlier. I want to see Sam Gagner play as long as he can and as long as he wants to. I know lots of times we see the players out there on the ice and like, oh man, should have hung it up. Should have retired last year. But I think, play as long as you can. I think there's something special about being a professional athlete, and it goes beyond just playing, hanging out with the guys in the room, traveling, doing all those sorts of things. So I'm pro Sam Gagner playing for as long as he wants, even if he's not the player he once was.
These 5 questions, did you take them from the first 6 minutes of Connor and I talking today, Declan?
No, I had them made already. And then obviously you guys talked about it. And I just didn't change the questions.
Great minds think alike. I'm kidding. But I agree. I think that we should be looking for keeping Sam Gagner in the fold after his playing career. And if that means he has to get a bit of a bridge, better him stay here than leave again, like when he went to Columbus. That wasn't right.
That was weird.
Oh, okay. All right. Question number 4. The college football preseason rankings have been released, Georgia topping both the AP poll and the coaches poll. Come the end of the season, who will be the top 4 teams that receive buys in this year's 12-team playoff format?
This is dirty pool, Declan. I mean, if you're going to hit me with college football rankings,
well, they just came out. You
gotta put it.
It was topical.
You got to brief me in the emails like Connor does, so I can spend the day researching.
I sent a link. There to the top 25 today.
I'm looking here. I don't see it. I see 5 questions in my briefing email, and then
there's hyperlinked and everything at the end of question 4.
I must be looking at the wrong email. I'm in over my head.
I'll dive in. I'm going to say Georgia gets 1, Ohio State, Texas, and Alabama. Is that okay? I think Oregon falls off. And
3 SEC teams?
Man, the SEC is a powerhouse. I know you hate them.
No, I like SEC.
Remember when TCU got there and we saw what happened?
Declan, I found the email.
Okay.
It was titled 5 questions. And the 4th one had a hyperlink afterward to the rankings so that a man could save himself some time. I'm not going to look at that link, but I just wanted to let you know I got the email and you're not a liar.
Good.
Declan, quickly, who are yours?
That's a great question. I'm going to say Georgia, Ohio State, Ole Miss, and Florida State. I think they go undefeated again, win the ACC, and get in this year. Committee rights the wrongs of last year.
I knew you'd say Florida State, and I love that you gave your own question the old great question.
Because I think this year as well. I think this year
subtle, but very well done.
I think this year as well, with the 12 teams instead of the 4 that it's been in the past years, there's going to be less pressure for that 4th spot to be had. And I think they'll truly give it to someone who is like an undefeated Power 4 conference winner in FSU, which I think they will get that 4th spot as opposed to a 1-loss SEC or Big Ten team, because now there are 8 more spots to fill. You know what I mean? So that's why I'll say Florida is the 4th team.
I like that reasoning.
Yeah. And question number 5. You're on a deserted island for the rest of your life. You get 1 movie, 1 TV show, 1 book, and 1 album. What are you choosing?
I'm going to mush 3 of these into one and say Wild Wild West with Will Smith. Now, remember, I just got this, but the album Wild Wild West was tremendous. The movie was extremely underrated. The Big Mechanical Spider. I assume there's a book somewhere, Wild Wild West, written by Will Smith and Cisco. And that's it.
I like that. When I was a kid, I only had 2 movies on DVD. It was that and Analyze This with Robert De Niro and Billy Crystal. And so I would just always watch Wild Wild West, like once a month, probably.
Wild Wild West.
Terrible movie, but
It wasn't though.
It was pretty bad. It was pretty bad.
Waterworld was universally panned, and Wild Wild West were universally panned, and I still watch both those movies to this day. Not this exact day because I'm on the radio, but other days like today.
Okay, movie. I need things that are not going to get boring to me. So movie, I'll take Forrest Gump. Huh?
Sorry, that was
Oh
so
my
reactionary. I just hate that movie.
How can you hate Forrest
Sorry.
Gump?
Is there power on this island? I'm just wondering if you just get like a DVD to look at the box, or if you actually have a television.
You have a solar powered portable DVD player.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, if I don't go, maybe The Departed, but I don't want your reaction, Declan. TV show. It's got to be something with a lot of seasons.
Oilers hockey? Is that a TV show?
I think I would probably go with like Forensic Files because there's like 24 seasons. So you got lots there. Album, I don't know. Jay-Z's Black Album. And then book.
Awesome.
Okay.
No, that's unbelievable. You said it all sad. I was like, why is he saying it all sad?
Because I'm on an island.
Oh.
It's tough. And then the book, I don't read books. So the Bible.
King James? Which edition?
The Gutenberg Bible.
Wow.
The Old Testimony.
Good edition. Old Testimony. You need to read the Bible. It's Testament.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, maybe you should have the Bible.
That's what I'm saying. The Bible. I don't know. Give me the Bible. I'll have it down. I'm just thinking like you need things that are going to be not getting old quickly and different. So like the album, unless you do like a best of where you have a double album, then you're going to get the same 15, 20 songs repeated. But Forensic Files, I'll get a new episode all the time. Forrest Gump's long. It's got all these different kind of twists and not twists, but things that happen. I don't know. Declan?
If you could just leave me with a Starlink on this island, Declan?
No, Paul.
I'd be happy.
You get one solar powered DVD player.
I think I'm happy. I'd have TV. I'd have high internet uplink. I don't think I'd be sad on a deserted island. I think I'd be starting a new thing.
Yeah, I think I could make it work. For the book, I would take the Bible as well. Get through that.
Gutenberg or King James?
Or the Old Testimony.
Yeah, of course.
Probably whatever Connor's reading. Hell, we can read it together. For the album, I would probably take Graduation by Kanye West.
Wow.
For the TV show, it only has 5 seasons, but I think I have to take Breaking Bad. And my movie, my deserted island movie would be Stand By Me. It's my favorite movie. I have to take.
You have the Stand By Me mug.
I do.
Yeah,
I do,
okay.
yeah.
If I was on the island with you, Connor, and you were watching Forensic Files every damn day, there'd be a murder. There'd be another show for Forensic Files. It'd be me killing you on the island saying, I can't watch Forensic Files.
You just have like that great little song and like, it was a normal Tuesday. Until it wasn't.
Connor, I like that show, but I think it would scare the hell out of me alone on a deserted island. I'd be like, I'm next.
I'm deserted.
From someone coming out of the jungle.
Could I get a book that's titled How to Escape a Deserted Island in 10 Easy Steps? Because I'd read that on that island.
You certainly could, but like you would probably then you would have to build a raft. You know what I mean? Like you would have to like find the materials.
I've got time on my hands. I'm not watching Forensic Files with Connor over there. That's for sure.
True. And your Starlink didn't connect. So
how mad would you be
all
if
the time.
I sail off on the paddle boat and you're watching Forensic Files season 8?
We're on the island beside you, the deserted island beside you, just watching our TV shows, and you're heading off.
Content, I think I would be.
Like, Connor, you want to come with? I figured out a way off the island. I'm good. I want to see how this murder turns out in Forensic Files.
I've got 18 seasons to go. Hold on. Great edition of 5 questions.
Good
Declan.
question.
Very well done. We'll do it again tomorrow at about this time. Right now, we'll get to break. When we come back, Mark Spector will join us of Rogers Sportsnet. We'll talk some Oilers, Elks, Olympics, and a whole lot more. It is the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440, brought to you by Play Alberta, also on the Oilers Nation YouTube and Oilers Nation Twitter. If you're on Instagram, Sports 1440. And is there one other? Am I missing one?
We're on our MySpace page.
MySpace?
Yep, we're on the MySpace. Yep.
YouTube, Oilers Nation. Yeah,
YouTube.
Twitter, Facebook, Instagram.
We're on Threads.
We're on Threads too.
You ever look on Threads?
I love Threads.
Bag Milk bet me Threads would overtake Twitter. He had to buy me a Twitter t-shirt, but then it came in with an X logo on it.
That's the way she goes. Coming up next, Spec here on the Gregor Show. Right now, we'll get to a Sports 1440 update brought to you by Booster Juice. You can visit a Booster Juice to try the cookies and cream Booster Ball, the yummy little bundle of almond butter, maple syrup, coconut, and gluten-free cookies. Download the Booster Rewards app and order one today only at Booster Juice.
This is a Sports 1440 update.
And for your Sports 1440 update, we start in the majors. 3 games in action right now. Cubs and Guardians and Cardinals and Reds both tied at 0-0, both in the second inning. The only other game in action right now, Astros and Rays. Astros leading 1-0 at the bottom of the first. Coming up right away here, we'll see the Rangers and Red Sox, and in about 40 minutes' time, Royals and Twins. Later on in the day, Dodgers and Brewers, Yankees and White Sox, and of course the Toronto Blue Jays in action as they're out in LA taking on the Angels. A 7:38 p.m. first pitch for that one, and Francis on the mound for the Jays. News around the hockey world is Patrick Laine and his fiancée have launched a mental health initiative called From Us to You. The Devils have re-signed forward Nolan Foote on a 1-year, 2-way contract, and unrestricted free agent Sam Gagner eyeing a return for an 18th NHL season, according to reports. Other news around the sporting world as Jarren Duran has been suspended for 2 games for an anti-gay slur used in the game yesterday by both the Red Sox and the MLB. He will forfeit 2 games worth of salary that will go to an LGBTQ organization. The Saskatchewan Roughriders have quarterback Trevor Harris taking the reps as they match up with the Owls later this week in Week 11 CFL action. And in the sporting world, Hassan Reddick has requested a trade from the Jets that was rebuffed by the team's GM, and Giants wide receiver Malik Neighbors is going to be day-to-day with an ankle injury. One other piece of NFL news, as the Cleveland Browns do plan to play Deshaun Watson in the team's preseason finale. Edmonton Riverhawks out in action tonight. That series with the Bellingham Bells currently tied 1 game apiece. First pitch for this one going to go at 7:35 p.m. our time out in Joe Martin Field. In hour 4 of the Jason Gregor Show, we'll be joined by Mark Spector for the Spec Report. I'm Declan Kruger, and this has been a Sports 1440 update.
Sports 1440 in West Edmonton Mall and Wetaskiwin. CKJR is a Stingray radio station.
Download the free radio player app and listen wherever you go.
Be melon jolly, not melancholy. Summer is ripe for fun, and some Booster Juice bestsellers are back in season. Watermelon smoothies, including the refreshing Watermelon Wave, a berry burst of strawberries, raspberries, pomegranate, and vanilla frozen yogurt. And fan favorites, Watermelon Explosion, a refreshing burst of bananas, mangoes, and pineapple, both made with watermelon sorbet and probiotic yogurt. All of the watermelon, none of the seeds. Visit a Booster Juice near you today or download the Booster Rewards app.
I'm Colin Livingston, president of Cantork. Since 2016, we've been at the forefront of hydraulic torque wrenches in Canada. I'm delighted to share our latest venture, in-house production for quicker turnaround, superior quality, and heightened versatility. Experience excellence at cantork.com.
Actions speak louder than words. Japa Machinery Group puts your construction plan into action with XCMG construction machinery you need. Available for rental or sale. Learn more at japamachinery.com.
Get a great night's sleep during the final weekend of the Bricks Summer Sleep Event. Take up to 50% off mattresses, up to $1,200 off sleeper sectionals, and buy more, save more, up to 25% off bedroom and dining furniture. Plus, shop amazing deals in other departments, like up to 20% off outdoor furniture and up to 25% off home entertainment furniture and fireplaces. You won't want to sleep through these fantastic prices. Some exclusions apply. See in store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
What's cracking at Cattail Crossing? Every Friday after 4 p.m., it's 9 and Dine Fridays. Includes golf for 2 with a power cart at Cattail Crossing and a $50 food voucher at Out of Bounds Restaurant. Only $119.99. Tea times can be booked at cattailcrossing.ca.
Bacon or sausage and egg McMuffin? It's a delicious dilemma. But what if you didn't have to choose? The Mighty McMuffin is back with bacon and sausage. Mighty McMuffin, mighty impressive. For a limited time at participating McDonald's in Canada.
Whatever the project, big or small, when you need metal cut precisely and promptly, you need Metal Supermarkets. That's right, fast, so you can get it done, then enjoy the sun. Imagine what you'll do with all that extra time.
I've always wanted to try bird watching. So peaceful, so... Hey, a woodpecker. That's my leg! What the actual...
Maybe find another summer pastime, but in the meantime, see the pros at Metal Supermarkets, the convenience stores for... Southside, West End, metalsupermarkets.com.
Declan Kruger, Jonathan Paulson here as well. The show brought to you by playalberta.ca. Remember, use promo code SUMMER and get a $50 casino free play with a minimum $5 deposit. And remember, use your game sense. Go to gamesense.ca and stay within your limits. We're coming to you live from the eWell studio here. The text line, 1-833-401-1440 if you want to get in on the conversation right now. We'll do what we do at 5 o'clock every day here on the show. It's the Spec Report. Brought to you by GS Construction. They're hiring and looking for laborers, pipe layers, pipe layer helpers, top men and women, lead hands, and water and sewer foremen. Go to Indeed.com and look up GS Construction. Mark Spector of Rogers Sportsnet joins us. Spec, how are you doing today?
Oh, doing pretty well. Now, Gregor's on holidays, or what's going on? Lazy guy. Holy man.
Yeah. He hasn't worked hard enough the last little while. So, no. We gave him the couple weeks off to rejuvenate, get the batteries charged. He'll be back soon, ready for hockey season. But for now, you got Wanye and myself here running the show.
Awesome.
Dad's gone, Spec. We can do whatever we want. We can talk about whatever we want, and he can't do anything.
Yeah, the cat's away. The mice will play.
Absolutely. So, Spec, I think Declan just missed it. I think the news broke right as he did his update there, but it looks like the Toronto Maple Leafs will name Austin Matthews as their next captain, taking the C away from John Tavares. What do you make of this move here on an August 12th day in the summer?
Well, it's I don't know about the timing. I mean, I suppose you do it now because there's less coverage, and by the time camp starts, the story's a little bit old. How about that? You know, it's a two-part thing. Naming Austin Matthews the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs, it seems like a no-brainer. He's their best player. You know, he's at the perfect age. He's been around a while, so who would ever think that's not a good idea. Now, taking it away from someone is always a little bit clumsy, but I think that frankly, Tavares, I'm sure, is part of this thing. I'm sure I would doubt that he's fighting it. It's the passing of the torch in Toronto. Is that fair? I think that's the right move, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm totally on board with it. This team's going to be going in a different direction. You want to keep Matthews around, I'm assuming, longer than Tavares. I like the decision, but you know, truthfully, I'm an Austin Matthews fan, so I'm happy to see this one getting done. Some other news coming out of the city here. I think Stoffer brought it up on Twitter. As Gregor's been talking about it for a long time now, that Evander Kane looking like he could potentially get some surgery here towards the start of the season, start off the season on the LTIR. We'll keep it very open. Just your thoughts on that potential and what it would do for this team, especially cap-wise.
Well, you know, I think that this has got to be some kind of a master plan, right? Like, tell me why they didn't do surgery on him the minute the season ended. You know, I'm sure that the Oilers medical people will have a reason for it that we won't be able to dispute. But frankly, if it was Leon Draisaitl or Connor McDavid, they'd have had him on the table one day after Game 7 so that he was ready for Game 1 in October. This is part of the plan. I think it's going to be, they'll delay the surgery as long as they can. They'll delay the recovery as long as they can. And frankly, it wouldn't surprise me one bit if Evander Kane spent the entire season on LTIR and came back for the playoffs. That seems to be where this is going. Don't you think so?
It does seem that way. I know Jason had said there was some thought to try to rehab it without surgery, and then that might be the route they might try to take. But yeah, the timing would be very convenient. And for a team that right now is just $350,000 over the cap and still needs to sign a couple of RFAs in Philip Broberg and Dylan Holloway, it could help them out quite a bit. Now, just on the topic of those two players, do you expect that to get done relatively soon here when it comes to the RFAs? And is there a number you think would be right for the two of them?
I don't think that either guy is going to make a whole lot more than $1 million on this roster.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't think either guy's in a position. I don't think either guy's coming off this kind of season where their agent would direct them to sign long-term deals. You know, how can Broberg sign a 7 or 8 year deal when he's coming off a season where he barely played in the NHL? So he needs to sign a short-term deal and get some NHL time and prove his worth. And I think Holloway does too. Holloway was in Bakersfield last year, remember? So he needs to get a full NHL season on which to build a longer-term contract. So I think both guys are going to make between 1 and 1.2, and I think they're going to sign for, very short term. If I'm their agent, I want them signing for 1 year. That's what I would prefer.
Yeah, I'm with you as well.
Earlier in the show, Spec, we were talking to Theo Dorsey from ESPN West Palm Beach, and he was rattled that Canada had beat the U.S. in the 4x100, but failed to mention the Oilers losing to the Panthers in the Cup final. So cleverly, I suggested we trade the gold medals in the relay for the Stanley Cup. What are your thoughts on that deal?
Cleverly, you suggested that.
Yes,
I like
my
that.
own word I added.
Yeah, well, I don't know what to tell you. I don't think that it's going to work that way, frankly.
Sure.
It is amazing. Like the Americans feel like they should own the relay events because they have all these fast sprinters, but these fast sprinters annually can't get the stick around the track, right? The American relay teams, no one's left more sticks on the track than the U.S. relay team. Like, they're fast individuals. They're a lousy team, and they've, ever since I've been around track and field, which goes back about 25 years, they've been a lousy team. Our guys, a bunch of no names, beat them again because our guys are better teammates. They're better. They practice more. They get the stick around. Their egos are a quarter the size of those American sprinters. I don't know what to tell you about your Stanley Cup bet, but every time I see those guys with the giant egos mess it up in the team event, the 4x1, I kind of chuckle because it's only been going on forever, guys.
Spec, the Olympics did wrap up yesterday, Canada, the 2024 games in Paris, finishing with 27 medals, 9 gold, 7 silver, and 11 bronze. For me, there's a bit of a void because I really miss watching those games. You know, the recaps when I'm home from work. Are you missing them already? And what were your thoughts overall just on the performance from the Canadian squad?
Well, why is it that we don't now continue to watch the next swimming event? Or why don't we tune in for Diamond League track and field? Because there's a track meet starting in September. I think there's one every second weekend with a lot of the same people in it, but we don't, right? Why don't we watch, why don't we watch some trampoline for the next 4 years? Because we don't. So you tell me, like, if you miss it that much, Connor, get the package, whatever it is, and start watching some field hockey and taekwondo and tell me what's going on.
Oh, I'm going to be watching the event in Switzerland later this month.
What event is that?
Lausanne, the Lausanne event. Well, I mean, I wish I had more power to get it. Like, I do sit down and watch the occasional event on CBC when you get the events going on, the track meets. But I don't know. It's just not the hype, I suppose, of the big games.
Well, yeah, but it's like, would you only watch football in the playoffs or the Super Bowl? No, you watch it all year. Hell, there's even guys who watch preseason football. I can't see why, but they do. Like, to say I only like track at the Olympics is like saying I only like hockey in the Stanley Cup final. So it's a bit of a weird conundrum because, like I say, we all become these experts and fans, and we love all these sports every 4 years, but we also love to completely forget about them for the next 3 years and 11 months till it's on again.
You're right. But I mean, that's part of it is just the coverage we're getting throughout the Olympics, right? Like, it's on 3 of the major networks in Canada. You throw on a sports channel, it's there. When we're not in those games, it's tough to find. But you're right. I could put my money where my mouth is and subscribe to some networks.
Well, it's got to be out there somewhere. Like, don't ask me where you find the Diamond League is. For anyone who doesn't know, that's basically where all these track people make their living, right? And it goes all over the world. I don't know how many meets they have, 14, 16, I'm not sure. But they're really, really good track meets. What station are they on, man? Are they on a station? Can you subscribe? Are they on DAZN? I don't know where the hell they are.
See, that's it. We got to get it on the major networks in Canada showing track and field. We've got so many channels.
CBC did, after 2001 World Championships in Edmonton, CBC did show some track for a while. I don't know. Obviously, no one was watching because it doesn't seem to be there anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it pops up randomly. Me and my wife will tune in, but hey, I couldn't tell you the consistency, how often it is. It is a very casual thing to do. We're getting people saying CBC is your way to find it on the GEM app. So maybe that's what I got to do. And the Paralympics get going in a couple of weeks, so I'll be tuning into that as well. Spec, last night at Commonwealth Stadium, where the 2001 games were held and the Commonwealth Games, we saw a pretty impressive performance from the Edmonton Elks. Trey Ford looking good before the injury, and McLeod Bethel Thompson comes in. We saw the interception, but we'll lead the downfield for a score later on in the game to Justin Rankins. What did you make of the performance from the Elks last night?
Well, they really, all of a sudden they really look like a football team. They've got 3 phases, they're On special teams, I thought that I give BB credit. Like, he missed his first field goal. I thought, and then he came back very strong and made everything else all night. Our Edmonton's return game is still average, but they covered well, so they saw that off, right? Defensively, they gave up 10 early points. Then they give up 6 points in the final 3 quarters. Like, that's real defense, right? They flushed. I know they're only facing a backup quarterback, and they put pressure on him. He looked a little confused, but you know what? They've got 3 phases, and even when Ford went out, give Bethel Thompson credit. He didn't just drive the ball to the 20 like he'd been doing for the first 7 games. They got it over the end zone or over the goal line, and they got it over the goal line because they got a couple guys that are making plays now, right? Those 2 running backs both made some plays for him last night. They weren't denied. They broke a tackle and made something out of nothing. And I came on this show for the first 7 games and said, someone's got to make some plays here, right? Someone's got to do something unexpected. Well, they're getting those plays now, certainly from those 2 backs and a couple receivers, and lo and behold, you get some plays, you can win some football games.
Yeah, Week and Rankins have been great out of the backfield for sure. And yeah, you're getting plays from the receivers downfield. It's been fun to watch. And we'll see if they can keep that going against Hamilton on Saturday. Last question, Spec, because the 80s Double E all team, the decade team, was announced last night. When you think back to those Elks teams, the Eskimos teams, of course, back then, of the 80s, did you have a favorite player?
Oh man, I didn't see that it was released. Was there any controversy?
Brian Kelly, Neil Lumsden, Gizmo, few names there.
Oh yeah. Well, I was the Eskimos won the Grey Cup from 78 to 82, 5 in a row. In 1978, I was a 13-year-old kid. So, I was right in my wheelhouse, man. I was at the very first game they played in Commonwealth Stadium, whenever that was. I watched Warren Moon every single day, Tommy Scott, you name them. Danny Ray Kepley, Danny Boone, Ron Este, all those guys. I grew up with that team. They were the best team, frankly, in the history of the CFL. They won 5 in a row. They didn't just get there and then lost. They got there and they generally cleaned somebody's clock every November. I haven't seen the team yet, but I'm telling you what, it's probably stocked with that 5 in a row team, because that is the best CFL team ever to lace cleats up.
They just put it out there on Twitter or X, so I guess you can go take a look if you want. But yeah, it's a pretty loaded squad with the 80s Edmonton Eskimos team. Really good there. Spec, thanks so much for doing this today. We'll chat with you tomorrow around the same time.
All right, boys, enjoy the show.
Thank you, sir. That is Mark Spector. Brought to you by GS Construction. They're hiring. Go to Indeed.com and look up GS Construction.
Those early 80s, late 70s Eskimo teams. Like, what an embarrassment of riches Edmonton's sitting on in those days. Just winning Stanley Cups and Grey Cups dang near at will for 10 years.
And imagine going to what would have been a world-class stadium at the time too, in 78 when Commonwealth opened for the games, but they had the football team playing out there. Life was good. I bet beer was cheaper back then. The sun was brighter. Life was good.
The green was greener. The gold was golder.
Everything was beautiful. Going to watch Warren Moon just slinging it around downfield. And then, every once in a while you miss out on that because Gizmo took it back to the house too soon.
You dropped an Eskimos fan at center field for an Elks game and looked at the upper deck being completely closed now, right? They wouldn't know what to make of it.
It would be wild. What is going on, they would say.
The vibes have gotten better, right? There's wins now on the board. A friend of mine was at the game the other day and he said that it was actually a very, very good time.
Yeah, I mean, the tailgate's awesome.
Yeah.
I'll say that. I host the watch parties for the team. We always have good turnouts.
In the tailgate? Or where are you?
When they're on the road, we
Right.
we just do various spots around town.
Sure.
And we were at Central Social Hall for the win on Jasper Ave. Packed house. Everyone was having a good time. Even when they lose, people show up to those. But yeah, I mean, I think Trey Ford is it's the answer. We've all known it. People want to go watch them. And it doesn't even matter, in my opinion, where he's from. He's an exciting football player.
Where's he from?
Canada.
Oh,
he's Canadian. Yeah.
Outstanding news.
University of Waterloo.
There you go.
Ran track and field as well.
If there's anything we've learned from the Riverhawks, who I love, I live nearby, so I've been going to baseball games for a long time in Edmonton because they existed, not because the team was necessarily good, not because the environment was necessarily awesome, but it was because it was there. And the Riverhawks have done an amazing job in the last 2 years. Now the weather's helped them a lot this summer, obviously, and I think they're coming off a bit of a halo from the Moss Pit. Everybody was having a good time out, but like the vibes can be high, and the vibes can be high in Elks game too, right? It doesn't have to be championship football necessarily on the field to have people in the stands having a good time.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I will say, like, growing up for me in my early 20s, nothing beat going to the game, having a couple pops, and then go out after. Win or lose, you're gonna have a good time. You got to get back to that. The winning was crucial. Like the truth is that was 05, 06, 07, 08. We had really good teams. We watched a lot of winning. And the Riverhawks, like you said, though, they didn't win the first couple of years. Now they're in the playoffs or in an elimination game tonight, taking on the Bells. Winner moves on, loser goes home. But what's nice about, like, how do you beat a day kind of in the River Valley watching baseball, having a hot dog and a beer? Like that's just the best.
Do you want to hear my only complaint about the Riverhawks? And again, I love the Riverhawks, Connor, love. But here's my issue. Their budget for the post-game fireworks is too high. It's too high. They are shooting fireworks off, Connor, into the night. Sometimes it's not even night. Sometimes it's bright out. And they still shoot the fireworks off. And Wanye Jr. is 3. And we live within earshot and eye shot of the baseball stadium. And let me tell you, the other night, happy that they won the playoff game. They shot so many fireworks into the sky, Connor. I thought we'd won victory in Europe again. I thought World War II had re-ended. The fireworks, they got to get themselves a drone show. Silent. No noise. Spectacular effects.
So your only complaint, too many, would be praise.
Yes. The fireworks are too extensive.
That's great. That's a ringing endorsement.
That's right. But you don't need the New York Yankees to be playing to have a great afternoon. You just need the vibes to be set. I think the Elks could learn a lot from the Riverhawks, so they've done an exemplary job.
You know who was a big part in the vibes? Was Oilers Nation's Aaron Bordato.
Oh, he does a great job.
So what I'm thinking is maybe the green and gold need to hire him.
Yes.
He'll peek his head out the window and just get the crowd going like he did at Riverhawks games.
Is that what he was doing?
Oh, yeah.
He's so funny.
The guy's a showman.
Oh, yeah.
He, of course, hosts Oilers Nation After Dark.
Yeah, also
and
a showman.
free gaming. A showman?
Well, he's a showman there, too.
Oh, he's wherever he goes.
Wherever he goes.
I imagine when he's sitting on his couch, he's a showman.
Very animated.
Yeah.
Our
guy. Bordsy. Check him
Bordsy.
out. Hockey season. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, more of your text. We'll dive into what's going on tonight in Major League Baseball. Like we said, the Riverhawks are in action. We'll tell you a little bit more about that and a whole lot more. It is the Jason Gregor Show here on Sports 1440, live from the eWell studio. Connor Halley. We've got Wanye Gretz, Declan Cougar, Donovan Paulson with you here, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca.
Hey, sports fans, we've got a clear choice for you. At Crystal Glass, we provide customers with the perfect glass for any job. From home to auto and even commercial, installation or repairs, we're your team. Call 310-GLASS or visit crystalglass.ca. Crystal Glass.
So you've decided you want to start hiking. Nobody would say, I'll just wear my kids' flip-flops until I have more experience. The first thing you do is buy the right shoe size and style to fit you. Same with golf. You can't just buy clubs off the rack. They won't be the right size or style for you. Only Fitted Golf works with you to identify your swing style and then matches your clubs exactly to that swing. Check out our Instagram and YouTube channel to see the success others have with clubs fit to their swing. Fitted Golf, where we continue to prove it's your clubs.
Jonathan and Murray are friends.
Hey, buddy.
Hey, buddy. Except when they talk about which stadium is more fun in the summer.
Dude, Commonwealth has Elks Fan Park. Tailgating at its finest.
But it can't compare to the old ballpark in the River Valley. Riverhawks games are electric. But ask them who makes the best beef jerky in Alberta, and they'll tell you.
Wilhawk Beef Jerky.
It's the only thing everyone can agree on. So, pick some up for your summer pregame snack.
Wilhawk beef jerky, because you don't win friends with salad.
A premier hockey solution with a clear path for long-term development is proud to be entering its 8th season of independent borderless hockey, featuring provincial and cross-province competition with showcase style, regular season gameplay, and a strong commitment to individual skill development. It's an attractive option for those seeking family life balance. The Hockey Super League offers opportunities for both male and female athletes born between 2011 and 2016. Visit hockeysuperleague.com for more information.
Rule number 41, never challenge a goose in the Bow Valley. They run this town and they know it. Summer in Alberta has its own set of rules. And if you're looking to add a little extra fun, Play Alberta has it all. Use promo code SUMMER to snag a $50 casino bonus for casino, instance, and live dealer with your next deposit. Get ready for promotions throughout the summer to help you make the most of those sunny Alberta days, because we all know they don't last long enough. Bonus terms and conditions apply.
For over 65 years, Denham Ford has delivered the customer service and value that keeps Albertans moving. And nothing moves Albertans better than Canada's best-selling truck, the Ford F-150. Here now with rates as low as 0% or savings up to $17,000. That's the value you've come to expect from where cars always cost less. 0% or $17,000 off F-150s. Only at Denham Ford in Wetaskiwin or at denhamford.ca.
Looks like a long, hot summer ahead. Time to hit the open road in style. Larry Ricci from Vision RV, inviting you to explore our huge selection of new and pre-owned inventory. The lot is filled with more choices than we had in years. Travel trailers, fifth wheels, motorhomes, park models, and truck campers. Something for every budget. Plus, fast, easy financing and top dollar for your trade-in. So get set for summer fun and join us at Vision RV, just south of the Yellowhead on Highway 60.
It's 14:40. Connor Halley, Declan Kruger, Donovan Paulson with you. Wanye Gretz had to take off, but good news. He'll be back tomorrow to join us here on the show. Little co-hosting action. It is the Jason Gregor Show, brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. Have some fun tonight. You can throw a little money down. Of course, we got Lotto Max coming up this week as well. But remember, use your game sense. Coming to you live from the eWell studio here at West Edmonton Mall. We do have a 4 gift cards to Oodle Noodle. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, I'll pull one out here and you can see it. Free box of nudes. So we're going to give 4 of these away in mere moments. Declan Kruger, if you were Wanye,
yes,
how would you like to give these away?
I would do a trivia question, and I would do it about college football, and I would not be Wanye Gretz. But I think a trivia question would be best.
Okay, let's do a trivia question. We discussed the Miami Dolphins earlier on the show today. Good season last year, started off pretty good, but in the postseason, it did not go well. We talked about who they lost to, so that's the question. Who did the Miami Dolphins lose to in the playoffs last season? Let us know. 1-833-401-1440. One lucky winner will get 4 boxes of noodles from Oodle Noodle, and you will enjoy it because it is delicious. 1-833-401-1440. Who did the Miami Dolphins lose to last postseason? Declan, this whole situation about Hassan Reddick with the New York Jets, it was briefly brought up there by Theo when we talked about the Dolphins, but Hassan Reddick was traded to the Jets from the Eagles. Kind of wanted a new contract. He spoke to the media, did all the medical stuff, and then didn't report to camp, and now wants to be traded. cost the Jets like a 3rd-round pick conditional to bring him in there. Now,
Yeah.
Hassan Reddick is a good player. When he's on, he's a good pass rusher. So it'd be a very good addition for the New York Jets defense. But he hasn't got the contract that he wanted, and he is now demanding a trade once again. The New York Jets have said, too bad. Like, we're not trading you. So maybe there's some sort of middle ground to find out what's going on, but not really a great way to endear yourself to a franchise when you get there, you don't show up, you want money, and then you just say, trade me.
The thing with Hassan Reddick is, I think you see this a lot with cornerbacks, as much as it kills me to say it, but I think Hassan Reddick thinks he's a little better than he is. And I think he thinks he has a little bit more organizational control than he does, which is insane considering he got to the team in April, right?
Mhm.
Like, I don't like Hassan Reddick is not an Aaron Donald on the line. He is not a TJ Watt off the edge, a Nick Bosa, etc. To go to a team that already, like, listen, the Jets had a great defense without him. So it's not like you're some savior on this defensive, front. So to get there and make all these demands is a little strange to me. I wonder how this plays out because the Jets are better if he's there, right? Like, teams are better with Hassan Reddick on the line, but he is not such a core piece or such a undeniable game changer that I think you just make this such a fiasco that it's looking to become.
Yeah, I think I'm with you because, Hassan Reddick did have a good season with the Philadelphia Eagles.
But he's a good player. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say he's not valuable and can't be valuable to that team, but he's not some guy who's putting up 22 sacks a season, 17 quarterback pressures, and just some game wrecker that you need to move heaven and earth for. He's been there for 4 months and he's trying to call the shots.
Yeah.
To a defense that was very, very good last year.
I mean, it's almost one of those situations where go play and you might earn it. Now, granted, he's 30, so maybe teams are hesitant to pay him. His first 3 years, I will admit, I thought he was a bust. He had topped out at 4 sacks. Follows that up with a 12 sack season, 11, 16, 11. Guy can get after the quarterback. Like, you'd think you could go down there and thrive. You're making pretty good money. I don't know what the Jets situation is, why they could boost it. Give them like, hey, we'll give you some more money now, but we're not giving you a long-term deal.
What would your ideal contract for him be? Given his, like, he's 29, like you mentioned, given his, like, he's kind of come on a little later in his career. I think both his both Pro Bowl selections or both All Pro selections were both these last 2 years. Like, it was one of those two, but he's come on relatively late, right? Like, what do you do contract wise for a guy like that? If you were the GM, if you were Joe Douglas.
I mean, I kind of like the strategy of saying, no, we're not trading you. Like this, you signed a contract, be here. At least if you're there, and you start to put up some numbers, like maybe in the first month of the season, the negotiation talks start. Like, well, let's keep you in the state of New Jersey. Like, let's find a way, like a starting point. But when you're out there, like, and teams will always say this, like, they're never going to hold a guy's contract negotiations against them, right? But how many of the Jets even know him? Like, they probably sent him a text when he got traded there and, hey, man, can't wait to see you. I don't know how much loyalty is. So he might be kind of putting himself in a bad situation in the room. If I'm thinking about how much I want to pay him, well, I'm not paying him in the Nick Bosa, Brian Burns, TJ Watt category, right? Like, you're not giving him one of those massive $150 million deals. It's probably going to cap out at like $3 or $4 million, or sorry, 3 or 4 years for a guy that age. And even that might be pushing it a little bit. I mean, I might make an offer and say, hey, we'll give you 20 something mil per year for a couple more years.
Yeah, I was thinking like 60 mil over 4 years. Or 60 mil, maybe over 3 years, I guess. That'd be a little more in line with what you're saying.
And maybe like most NFL contracts is more front loaded, right?
Yeah, and I'll guarantee some good money for you. Like, you're a good fine player, but you play on the defensive line. You're 30 years old. Now, granted, you have come into your own in the past couple of years, but yeah, I mean, a 20 mil AAV could be fair. You could be onto something with that.
Like, he's making 15 mil a year.
Yep.
So let's say I'm going to bump you up into Trey Hendrickson and Bradley Chubb money, 22 mil. How's that? That's $7 extra million a year, and we get you on the field. I'm not giving you Nick Bosa, who's making 34 mil a year.
Never.
Joshua Hines Allen, So not Joshua Allen, but Joshua Hines Allen. He had the Hines this offseason. 28, Brian Burns. 28, TJ Watt. 28. Like, I don't even want to give you Myles Garrett money, even though he signed his contract a little while ago. He's at 25 million. 22 something. I think I'd find some room to negotiate. Yeah, you've probably outplayed your contract, but that's not really the Jets' problem.
Yeah, when you break down those other players there and the money, I think 22 I think sounds good. Like, I would have been a little low at 20. I think 22 a year is fine. And then make it like a 4-year deal, 3-year deal?
Yeah.
Extension. Yeah. Okay. I can live with that.
I always hear not always, because I can't really watch anymore, but like back in the day I'd watch Pat McAfee and they'd say, a 5-year $100 million deal is really more like a 3 or 4 deal worth 80. Like the last year, it's typically buyout or you're being released or whatever it might be. Teams will give you that extra guaranteed, but that last year of the contract, you're probably not going to play it out. So something like that. If you're doing 4 years, man, I guess I got to give like 88 million and 90 million and a little more front loaded. I think that might be the route I go. We had asked you guys for a little trivia here for 4 box of noodles to Oodle Noodle. Which team eliminated the Miami Dolphins from the playoffs last season? We'll keep it open for a little bit longer. A lot of you have the right answer. We'll pick one lucky winner, and we're going to do this again tomorrow. So make sure you tune in to the Jason Gregor Show when Wanye comes in. We like to give away some prizes every once in a while, and nothing beats a nice box of Oodle Noodles. Oodle Noodles. The Rig texts in, "Hey guys, we'll come back to that one because my computer is going bananas right now. A few people I'll just tell you this. It was not the Buffalo Bills and it was not the Detroit Lions. Detroit Lions play in the NFC.
Different comp. But to Coach Al's credit, he did say Baltimore Ravens before that.
Ooh.
Now,
2 answers?
2 answers.
Both wrong.
Both wrong. That's what I was going to say. I was going to let you handle that one. But
2 answers. I respect it sending it in, but wow. When you put in 2 answers, I don't know. I'm always a little skeptical.
Hey, send us your name also so we can tell everyone who the winner is.
Absolutely. Scott Hall. The Scott Hall. Hey guys, great show as always, but you're killing it in Gregor's absence. Thank you, Scott. And then you gave the answer and you're correct with a bye-bye Fins. Okay. When we come back, we'll do that. Right now, I think we got to get to break here because we don't have too much time left on the show. Of course, we got Turn Sports coming up tonight at 6 o'clock. That'll run through 9. Then we've got Fox Sports Radio overnight. That's 9 to 7 a.m. And then tomorrow morning, Kevin Carius and Brandon Douglas back at 7 a.m. 24/7 sports here on Sports 1440. You can listen on your car radio. You can listen on your phone, your smart speaker, wherever it is, streaming online. You can tune into Sports 1440 24/7. So, make sure you tune in all night. We got some great stuff coming up as everything continues and some new programming to announce down the road here as well. It is the Jason Gregor Show brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. We'll be back right after this.
I take possession of my commercial space in 3 months. I need lighting. I need a fire alarm. I need data. I need a generator. I need panels.
Sounds like a job for the men and women of Action Electrical.
Projects team reporting. We design, build, and construct all the electrical systems for your projects. Need everything to work right? Get the Action Electrical project team on your site.
Facing an electrical menace? Call the men and women of Action. Operating throughout Alberta at actionelectrical.net.
Be melancholy, not melancholy. Summer is ripe for fun, and some Booster Juice bestsellers are back in season. Watermelon smoothies, including the refreshing Watermelon Wave, a berry burst of strawberries, raspberries, pomegranate, and vanilla frozen yogurt. And fan favorite, Watermelon Explosion, a refreshing burst of bananas, mangoes, and pineapple, both made with watermelon sorbet and probiotic yogurt. All of the watermelon, none of the seeds. Visit a Booster Juice near you today or download the Booster Rewards app.
The job isn't done until the last load is hauled, and having a semi-trailer out of commission is not an option. Whether replacing or adding to your convoy, Edmonton Trailer has a huge inventory of new and used semi-trailers, trusted by the gravel, logging, oil field, fluids, and freight industries. Find a trailer right for you online or at one of their 3 locations. For sales, service, parts, rental, and finance. When you're in it for the long haul, Edmonton Trailer.
Get a great night's sleep during the final weekend of the Brick Summer Sleep event. Take up to 50% off mattresses
and up to $1,200 off sleeper sectionals. And buy more, save more. Up to 25% off bedroom and dining furniture. Plus, shop amazing deals in other departments, like up to 20% off outdoor furniture and 25% off home entertainment furniture and fireplace. You won't want to sleep through these fantastic prices. Some exclusions apply. See in-store for details. The Brick, saving you more.
The Charm Offensive with Jim Jeffries.
Every generation before you has also been the most progressive generation.
And Jimmy Carr.
I don't know how to explain this to you. I'm not that small. I'm just far away.
One night, two comedy icons. September 8th, Rogers Place. Tickets available at Ticketmaster.ca. The Charm Offensive with Jim Jeffries and Jimmy Carr. Produced by Outback Presents.
Bacon or sausage and egg McMuffin? It's a delicious dilemma. But what if you didn't have to choose? The Mighty McMuffin is back with bacon and sausage. Mighty McMuffin, mighty impressive. For a limited time at participating McDonald's in Canada.
Eric Mikowski here, head of the family at Furnace Fab. We are expecting another hot summer. So what are you waiting for to install air conditioning? A few sleepless nights? Your family complaining? Or the hot spell when we have a 3-week wait? The time to get AC is now. Our expert installers are typically done in a few hours, and your family is comfortable all summer long. Daikin is offering a $1,775 rebate on a complete fit air conditioning system. Visit furnacefamily.com. Jingle time.
Done right, they are right.
Well, once again, we had some serious heat this summer. Lots of plus 30, not a lot of sleep. Am I right? Hi, Dennis from Lease Johnson, reminding you that now is the time to book your Daikin air conditioner installation. But Dennis, it's getting cooler. I will just wait until next year. I know, but AC prices are only going to be higher then because of further industry changes. So don't wait. Order your Daikin AC now and get it installed and primed for operation for next year. So when the heat hits, you are sleeping like a baby. Visit wjcools.com today.
$14.40 brought to you by PlayAlberta.ca. Check it out tonight. Remember, sign up, put in $5, and use promo code SUMMER. You can get a $50 casino play. Use your GameSense, gamesense.ca. We are coming to you live from the eWell studio here in West Edmonton Mall. Score with your Power Play partners at eWell. Get all your electrical needs at ewell.ca with 24/7 ordering and shipping in Edmonton and across Alberta. Connor Halley, Declan Kruger, Donovan Paulson with you here. Just wrapping up this Monday edition of the show. It's been terrific. If you missed anything, make sure you check us out on Spotify, Google, Apple Podcasts, or jasongregor.com. You can check out all of the interviews. Today, we had Zach Lang on, Cam Tate's 2-minute warning, Wanye Gretz in studio, Justin Rankin joining us, of course, former indoor football league player. He had 49 touchdowns in his final season, made the leap to the CFL, and he's looked like he's fitting in quite well. Theo Dorsey from ESPN West Palm joined us to talk about the Miami Dolphins. We also had Mark Spector and Kevin Woodley of InGoal Magazine. So make sure you go give those podcasts a download. We appreciate that as always. Our trivia for some free boxes of noodles from Oodle Noodle. We asked you, who knocked out the Miami Dolphins last postseason? It was the Kansas City Chiefs. en route to their back-to-back Super Bowl. They won 26-7. We touched on that just because, the Kansas City Chiefs, obviously, they kind of had their ups and downs in the regular season. The Dolphins looked great. And once they got into the postseason, that Chiefs defense was stifling, and they slowed them down. Tua Tagovailoa threw for under 200 yards. The leading rusher for the Dolphins was Raheem Mostert, who had 33 yards. Tyreek Hill, in his return to Arrowhead, only had 62. So that was the correct answer. And Declan, I think you've chosen a winner here, someone from the north side?
Yes, sir. Northside Corey was our winner. First correct answer to come in. So congratulations. Please text us back.
Absolutely. Northside Corey, get your full address so we can mail you the prize, and we'll send that off right away. We just need to go grab some stamps, and we'll be all over that one. The Miami Dolphins are really interesting. We're going to stick with the AFC East. We went to the Jets on Friday. A really cool chat with the Jets. Rich Cimini joined us from ESPN. And then today we went to Miami, so we'll talk about it. Maybe we'll go to Buffalo or New England tomorrow. Declan Kruger might have to hop in because big Buffalo Bills fan, and that division I think is going to be super competitive for a little while here. And if the Patriots, can get back on track and Drake May is the guy, who knows what happens? I've heard there's a little bit of a QB controversy there right now, but they invested very highly in May, and I think that he's going to be someone who could potentially be that guy, but got to surround him with a few more weapons or build up that defense, similar to what they did against with the old Tom Brady era. Giant Mike texting in, remember, it was a cold game that got Miami. That's it. I mean, you can love the razzle-dazzle that the Miami Dolphins do in the summer, like when it's hot out, or they're playing at home, but can they play that power football game that has been so successful in the playoffs? I mean, the Chiefs did it. Isaiah Pacheco and Travis Kelce become just absolute beasts in the playoffs. So when you're able to do what they can do, certainly goes a long way. I also want to give a shout out to everyone watching on the YouTube channel as well at Oilers Nation. See Murphman there, El Presidente, good to see you. If you're still in there, Northside or Norman a Combine, happy birthday. Well, it kind of came across that it was your birthday, so hope you're having a fantastic day there. I know you're a big outdoorsman, so hopefully you're rewarded with some fun stuff. You're talking about getting a snowmobile or something? I hope the family showed up and took care of you for that one. Also today, one of the topics that did come up was the Evander Kane reports from Bob Stauffer that could be potentially having surgery to start the season, could land him on the LTIR in case he missed that one. Jason Gregor, usual host of this show, he's been on that bandwagon for a long time, talking about how Evander Kane, from what he said, had hoped to rehab without surgery. And if that's not possible, then that's going to eventually lead to the surgery. And the LTIR, hey, call it what it is. It's going to help the Edmonton Oilers. The $5+ million in cap space that they could spend elsewhere, whether it's going to be, signing Dylan Holloway and Philip Broberg, or just helping them get under the cap, going to go a long way. Norm texting in, just have to go get one myself. Don't tell the boss. Yeah, I mean, that's not a bad way to do it. Treat yourself, as they once said on Parks and Rec. You got to make sure you do that. Scott Hall texting in. Oh, here we go. This is a long message. Would love the noodles at the expense of those floor climate challenge Dolphins. It's burr everywhere but Miami in late January, so maybe they want to shoot for first or second in the AFC. Just saying. Certainly want to get down to a first. I think that would be probably the best bet for the Dolphins, keeping the playoffs running through South Beach. Also inviting us to the Starlight Room this Friday. Unite for Jasper, 7 to 12. Is it hashtag MZ and the Remedy and 2 other local bands? Declan, I know you like live music.
Who doesn't love a little live music?
Maybe we got to head down to I keep seeing Jasper and thinking Jasper App. We'll head down to the Starlight Room this Friday.
Little date night for me and you, maybe.
That could be a good time.
Yeah, I'm with it.
Donovan, you in?
He said no. Can't make it.
I heard absolutely in, baby, but no works too. We'll see, Donovan. I know. Hey, Donovan had a great night out on the Rocks on Friday. Shout out to Dr. Wang down at OTR. I know we took care of the boys, so he can vouch for that. If you're looking to have a good time, any night of the week, head down to OTR. Look for Dr. Wang. Tell him Sports 1440 sent you, and he might take care of you with a beverage. And he might say, whatever you order, it better start with double. He's been known to do that in the past. That's going to do it for us here on the Jason Gregor Show. Big thank you for all of you for tuning in today. We appreciate it. As always, check the podcast if you missed anything, and make sure you hit subscribe and automatic download. That's key to make sure you get all of our content coming right to your phone. Tomorrow we'll do it all over again, starting at 2:00. Like I said, Turn Sports coming up next from 6 to 9. We got Fox Sports Radio overnight. Right now, we are going to get to a Sports 1440 update with Depp and Kruger, brought to you by Rhoda Exclusive, an exclusive membership with luxury assists such as magnificent holiday properties, a Lamborghini, a Ferrari, boats, and more. Travel, drive, and relax in style. Join now at rhodaexclusive.com. Limited openings.
This is the Sports 1440 update.
And for your Sports 1440 update, starting in the majors. Cubs up 3-0 on the Guardians. Reds up 3-1 on the Cardinals. Astros up 5-1 on the Rays. Rangers and Red Sox tied at 0 and one other game at the end of the first. Royals up on the Twins 1-0. Dodgers and Brewers going to go in about 15 minutes here, as are the Yankees and White Sox. And it's 7:38. Blue Jays and Angels in action. Francis on the mound in that one for the Jays out in L.A. Breaking news out of the NHL world, as the Toronto Maple Leafs are expected to name Austin Matthews as team captain, according to TSN's hockey insider, Darren Dreger. Other news in the hockey world is Patrick Laine and his fiancée have launched a mental health initiative called From Us to You, and unrestricted free agent Sam Gagner is eyeing a return for his 18th NHL season. News in the MLB as Red Sox outfielder Jarren Duran has been suspended for an anti-gay slur by the Red Sox and the MLB in a game last night. NFL news is Giants wide receiver Malik Neighbors is day-to-day with an ankle injury, and the Browns do plan to play Deshaun Watson in their preseason finale. Edmonton Riverhawks in action tonight as they take on the Bellingham Bells in the West Coast League playoffs. That series currently tied 1-1. First pitch at 7:35 our time out at Joe Martin Field. That's going to do it for us here on the Jason Gregor Show with guest host Connor Halley. On behalf of Connor Halley, I'm Declan Kruger. Turn Sports is up next. Fox Sports at 9. The Kevin Carrier Show returning tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. This has been the Sports 1440 update.